The ClevelandMoto podcast is brought to you by Manscaped Lawnmower 4.0.
All right, guys, and welcome to a ClevelandMoto podcast. And let me check. Hey, we're at podcast 333. Light them up. Yes. And I got my bourbon waiting, so I've got that, the beautiful.
Or should we say E?
E. Podcast E. When you don't have enough threes, you just use the E's. That's it. Fucking cool, man. Small podcast tonight because, other people have things going on. It's summertime. To my left, we have...
Steve sleeping.
And to his left...
Dan Kromke. Steve Hoffert.
Good
John McElroy.
And your humble narrator, Phil Waters. Yeah. So you guys don't know, I opened my fucking head up the other day.
I saw that.
So, we get literally tons of steel here from the crates that the bikes come in. And, some of the crates are wood, some of the crates are cardboard, and some of them are steel. Well, the Kimcos come in great fucking nasty steel crates because China's out of cardboard, but they got plenty of steel. And this stuff is razor fucking sharp. And so I load it all on the truck, and then rather than go to the Lakewood Recycling Center and give it to them, I go to the actual place that pays you money. And it turns out that my red pickup truck, Robert the Red Ford, Robert Redford will hold $100 of scrap steel in the form of these dead crates.
Nice.
So that's like about 1,000 pounds.
Yeah. So, and I just load it in, fucking load that shit in. And then, but when I get there, I got to throw it out in the pile. It's kind of fun because, you get to take out your aggressions. Yep. And if you set your watch for CrossFit, you get points for that. And just chucking the shit out. But some of the crates are kind of big, right? And I got the one crate, and I was getting a little fatigued, I might have been, after the 14th one or so. And I grabbed this thing, and I hoisted it over my head, and I go to throw it in the pile. And I just felt like the dope slap. Like I got dope slapped on the back of the head. And I was like, fuck, I got to throw it harder next
time. That one
had
a rudder on it.
Yeah, no shit. And so, but I didn't think anything of it. And I just keep throwing steel.
Keeled.
No, it would be a keel.
It damn near keeled him. So dudes come over and they're talking about, because I took 2 loads. I took my little Japanese truck, the little Honda Acti, and I took that and filled it with steel. And so dude's talking to me, and he's just like, da-da-da-da-da-da. He's like, oh, you got the back of your head there, bud. I was like, whatever, okay. It didn't feel it. Right? I knew I hit it, but whatever. So I just fucking leaves my brain. Didn't even think about it. Got here to the shop, and as I'm talking to Renee and James, I reached back in the back of my head, and I was like, wow, there's a big old crusty, like a massive crusty on the back of my head. Like a lot of black crusty. That's not cool. So then I look at James and Renee, and I'm like, hey, did I cut myself? And James and Renee are like, 911. Like, you need 7 stitches minimum right now. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? And they're like, oh my God, you're bleeding out. Like, what the fuck happened? Did somebody hit you with a, sand wedge or something?
I can see the chicken meat.
Oh, fucking. So now I got James and Renee freaking the fuck out. And that doesn't help. So I'm just like, chill the fuck out. It doesn't even hurt, which the good ones don't hurt. And so I go into the slop sink. I get the water good and warm, and I start hitting it. And then as soon as I start hitting that coagulated blood, it's like the whole sink turns red. Oh. And then, of course, I've opened it up. So now it's like, it's bleeding a lot. So, I bled a lot. And then, so we kind of got everything together and did a little super glue.
It looked like it was Manscaped. Did you use the Manscaped? It looked like somebody cut it open a little bit.
What's crazy is you can see my hair follicles. Yeah. So it took like a couple layers of skin off so perfectly that you can literally see ... I look like baby doll hair, And you can see every single hair follicle. And it does. It looks like you took like one of those things you use for fruit, like vegetable shaver. Yeah. And you just did a vegetable peeler right on the back of my head. It did a good job.
But see, you're proving a point. I've told so many people, like, if you don't have muscles and tendons hanging out, super glue is not going to give you an infection. That's what it was designed for. And you can save yourself so much money from going to the hospital.
It's amazing. And then a buddy of mine put up on my Facebook page where I put the image of the wound, and everyone, of course, was like, nice gash. But a lot of comments on the quality of that gash.
I'd like to fuck the back of your head right now.
A lot of that was going on. Remarkable. Everybody's like, what? Whose head is that? Is that some child's head or something?
That's what I thought. I thought it was a kid's head because it looks so tiny.
It's my head, man. That's what I got.
High camera angle.
3 stars.
Right, 3 stars.
I totally thought it was like whoever the intern kid is in the back. I was like, oh God, Phil's killing kids.
Yeah, we're killing Kobe. So it was pretty funny, but yeah, the super glue worked great, and that's all good. But then somebody sent me a picture of a thing you can buy at Farm and Fleet, which is a staple gun for animal sutures, and it comes preloaded with 50 staples. That seems like a good thing to have in your go-to-war bag.
Hell yeah!
Because fuck giving a stitch. I mean, I've given a lot of stitches in my day. Fuck that. How about just push the meat together and ka-chucka, because that's way better.
If you have hair, you just tie it. You tie it in a knot. No, seriously.
Really?
You just take both sides of the hair, you tie it in a knot.
I bet you they taught that in the Lebanese army.
But it works.
It does, yeah.
But it doesn't work on me.
For a scalp
It works
laceration.
perfectly on Dan.
He can take care of 9 or 10 motherfuckers. Yeah.
His scalp could be peeled down to his ears and he'd be fine.
Just braid it right at the middle and be like, oh, he's doing a Navajo thing. That's so cool.
Dan would refuse. He's like, I'm not wearing a man bun, dude. Sorry.
Yeah, you got this much hair, you don't wear a man bun. Yeah. But I thought it was fucking hilarious. The end result, and I got home and it didn't hurt at all. There was no real pain involved to it. But I got home and it was just one of those things where you're like the Bill Cosby album, where you're like, when you were a kid and you got hit by a rock and you covered it up until you got home and you could show your mom. And be like, hey, Mom, look at this.
Yeah.
And I did that to Merritt, and Merritt was like, what the fuck? And she's like, you need stitches for that. And I was like, nah, I got super glue. I'm okay. So it's fine. But it was cool. Because we're doing it again, Manscaped is paying us money to talk about their shit. And no, I didn't use it on my fucking skull. So they've upped their game. So there is what they're calling the performance package. And so they've got the one thing I was missing from the arsenal, that I have a very old nose hair trimmer. A fucking legit get up there and get the, what did you call them? Snoogers? Snoogs. It's
not a snot. It's not a booger. It's a snoog.
Snoog. Okay, I'd never heard that, but it's fucking genius, and I'll go with that. They said, summer's coming. Are you ready to unveil your beach bod? No. You're in luck.
It's more like beach ball.
It is. Our friends at Manscaped just launched their 4th generation performance package, which includes the Lawnmower 4.0. You heard that right, the 4.0. Complement your summer bod with a trim from the leaders in male grooming. The sun is shining and calling your name, fellas. Join the 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped and get ready for hot guy summer by going manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping with the code ClevelandMoto.
I'd rather clog the pool filter.
And what I'm going to say is, in the copy, they give you 3 versions of the copy that you can read. They give you male host, they give you female host, and they give you PG copy.
I want to read one.
I thought it was hilarious. Yeah, it is pretty good. I was trying to find the difference in between the male copy and the female copy, and it's not that different. I really thought that it would be way different. But I'm going to go ahead and read it, and you guys can see if you point out the difference. Does it start with,
ladies, do your balls get too hairy?
Summer's coming. Are you a dad bod or a 6-pack kind of girl? Either way, our friends at Manscaped have the fellas' hairy bodies covered. They just launched their 4th generation performance package, which includes the Lawnmower 4.0. You heard that right, the 4.0. Trim from the leaders in male grooming so the man in your life can join the 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped by going to manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping with the code ClevelandMoto. Nice. So there are some subtle differences in the read between the female host and the male host.
I thought you meant it was
for females?
For like equipment for females.
But didn't we say that was going to be
the clam cutter?
The clam cutter. Didn't we say that was Clamscaped?
Yeah,
I thought that was Clamscaped. Which again, that domain is still sitting out there. I mean, why we haven't taken that shit over yet? Clamscaped. That just makes fucking sense.
But to their point, so like I have a beer keg, not a 6-pack, but I am going to shave a 6-pack into my beer keg see if that works.
We saw that dramatic representation by using the Manscaped 4.0. You can just cut horizontal lines and draw attention to the barrel.
Right.
Yeah. I think it's a good idea.
I think I'm going to have to put an 8 or maybe a 10 pack on mine.
You're going to look like a silverback.
Get a couple. So I didn't know this, but the ear and nose trimmer thing. Do you know what they call that?
Weed whacker?
Weed whacker. That's a weed whacker.
No, seriously?
No, that's not. You didn't just make that up. That's for real. That's what they call it. So the one that you stick in your nose and your ears is legit called a weed whacker.
Wait, is that the one in Total Recall?
I don't know.
I don't know
Oh,
either.
you mean that? Yeah, that thing that pulls the giant ball out of his nose? Oh, fucking crazy. But not joking. They in that package. In that package, what they legit have in there is a couple of the Reviver and the Preserver, which I did not know until just recently. They call that ball tonic.
Okay.
Ball tonic.
I thought that was booze.
Dude, I just like saying ball tonic.
I thought that was marinara sauce.
Ball tonic.
You know,
Cream of some young guy.
they always say, turn your passion into a business and you'll be happy, right?
And you'll be happy, right?
So whoever has this company must just love balls. Like, this is office is just balls everywhere,
But
right?
the crop preserver is actual ball deodorant. Now, that's legit. Now, look, if you're going to deodorize this general area, this,
Right.
this 9 square inch spot under your fucking wing,
Right.
it does make sense that you'd fucking deodorize the legit chlorine bleach factory that most of us have between our legs.
And you can't use the arm
The
stuff.
old glue shooter.
Yeah.
How old are we all on this table?
Yeah.
13.
I can tell you that after the vasectomy, it's just like it's after the vasectomy. It literally looks like after the vasectomy, it looks like I've had a Kleenex mistake. Like it was one of those ones you're like, oh, I gotta blow my nose, and you're like, okay, cool, and then you're like, oh, some escaped the Kleenex. That's what it looks like after you've had a vasectomy.
All your socks have breathing a deep sigh of relief.
Exactly.
Like, oh, thank God.
Yeah. Well, if my wife does laundry, she doesn't have to do laundry with tongs. Okay, one white sock, another crustier white sock.
Or there's nothing worse when you do a deep spring cleaning and you get the one sock under the bed that's like stiff and flat laying underneath there.
Rigor mortis set in.
Again. And Drill Sergeant Peter Pacquiao said, "Means it's called the happy sock for a reason." Yeah, that was his jam. That was his thing. He's like, "Yo, you out there you're doing horrible things to yourself in the latrine? Take a happy sock. Nobody else wants to clean up your little babies." That's it. I was like, that's for real. So anyway, ta-da. But I did see that you were wearing your shirt today. I thought that was pretty badass. You're wearing your Manscaped shirt, so that's cool. That's pretty rad.
Every store I went to today, they looked at me funny.
And they were like, I wonder if his carpet matches the drapes. And you're like,
I think Dan doesn't look like he would be very well manscaped though. You've got a beard, long hair, like
yeah, but he doesn't have body hair that's like accidental. Clearly, there's a look.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
He's got
I'm not saying you're unkempt.
Right.
No,
he's
it's like,
kempt.
you see the guys, I remember.
Very fucking kempt.
I went to this is like 25 years ago, but I went to some punk rock show down at Nautica.
Yeah.
And like there's bleach. It was all day long thing. And, it was like 90 degrees and me and my buddies were all there. And I look at this guy and this girl's rubbing her face on this guy. And I'm like, why is this fucking guy wearing a sweater? It's like 95 fucking degrees outside. Then he turns and I see 2 pink nipples sticking out of this black sweater. Like, he's not wearing a sweater.
No.
That's just him.
No, the dude is a gorilla.
But he trimmed his neck
really?
perfectly.
Yeah.
So it
looked like a sweater?
Yeah, it was fucking weird, man.
My ex-wife in Germany used to call those pool apes. So, I lived in Germany, so like we didn't have beach in Germany. There's no beach, but there's the Schwimmbad. And so the Schwimmbad, every city's got a beautiful Schwimmbad. If you're in Wiesbaden, they got all the hot springs and shit. And we would go to the Schwimmbad all the time. And the Schwimmbad's topless or clothing optional. It's German, go figure.
I once watched a little girl take her swimsuit off to go swimming.
Yes, and then put it back on.
Only to come back in and put it back on. And
That's legit. That is real. And so we're at the Schwimmbad, a bunch of my buddies and a bunch of our German friends and stuff. And it's a very good time. It's super chill and cool. It's it's a good place to have a picnic. And dude straight up next to us goes down to the Speedo. But yeah, they like the Speedo just didn't help.
No.
The dude could have just left He could have gone full Sasquatch. There was no question about like, fuck, man. And like, people are worried about sunscreen in the pool. I'm thinking about the filtration system at this point because this guy's going to create a hairball wherever he goes. Like, that is legit.
You mentioned weird names and stuff.
Yeah.
I remember when I was in Europe DJing, I don't know where this guy was. I was in Holland, so he was from somewhere in that general area. But he had a fascination with America. He loved America, right?
Right.
But he didn't know the right words. So he was like, someday I'm coming to America, and I want to go to the West to see the American horse pirates. And I was like, the what? Pirates. And he was like, the guys with the hats, the American horse pirates.
You're like, and now you're like, yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was like, that's a good one, dude.
Yeah.
I got to remember that.
You mean those American horse pirates that wear the high heels with the pointy toes? I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
They're into bondage and stuff.
Guns.
Got ropes and shit.
Assless chaps.
Yeah, there you go, baby.
You want to talk about a ball of something clogging up the pipes? Yesterday, I got to pull the rags out of a pump. It was about 4 mop heads worth.
Really?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Of feminine hygiene products?
When we say rags in our
mean
business,
feminine hygiene
it
products.
only means one thing.
Right. And that means, folks, if you live with a person of a double X chromosome, or you are a person of a double X program, which we know we have no female listeners.
Right.
So since we're aware of that, but since we know there are no ladies, this podcast is what I like to call vagina proof. It is true. We've only had one female guest. I think it was Merritt, Dr. Merritt, and I think we were all on our best behavior. But it's true. We are truly nookie proof. Now, that being said, don't flush your tampons. No. Don't flush your wife's tampons. Just don't do it. It's the worst goddamn thing you can do.
Have you thought about exporting them to Japan, though? Because they might put them in vending machines or something.
With the extra bouquet of authenticity.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
It would have been, and I was just trying to like work the numbers on how many wads it would have taken to make 4 mod. I'm like, that had to be literally like thousands.
Yeah.
Thousands.
Yeah.
Got stuck.
It cost me about $10,000 for my wife to have a cycle.
Up to my elbow.
Yeah.
Just ripping out. And then I got the long nose pliers, and I had to go out.
Are you wearing the cow birthing gloves on this?
Of course he isn't.
The nitrile gloves for the first 5 seconds.
And they disappear.
Then it's just like, fuck it.
Yeah, those things are garbage.
That's the hypodermic needles are the bad thing.
That's the only thing I was
really worried about.
That's the only thing that scares me.
That's the only thing. I asked Nick, I was like, hey, did you ever get your needle? He's like, nope, never have. I'm like, I hope I don't.
I used to at the one lift station. The whole pump would be filled with hypodermic needles.
Oh, man.
So, you know what? Go ahead, flush your tampons. Just don't flush your needles, dude. Right.
Oh, that seems like, it just seems
Put them
like
in a pop can, throw them in the garbage, whatever.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Cool.
So the other day, last podcast, the one that dropped today, we were talking about one of our podcast listeners who also is a customer, came in and bought a Kimco AK550. Super cool guy. His name's Chris, right? Yeah. And like we said, Chris is a fucking legend. So, but unbeknownst to Chris, because Chris didn't get a chance to listen to that episode yet, which means he's probably listening to it today, which is 5 days from now, whatever. But anyway, so we gave Chris a little love, right? Mm-hmm. And so we're doing our normal shop thing, right? Appointment only, people coming in, buying stuff. And this amazingly beautiful woman comes in and she's like, my friend listens to your podcast all the time, and I'm coming in to buy him some T-shirts and pint glasses or whatever the hell, I gotta get some swag for the podcast. And I was like, yeah, we do that. We can provide that for you. And if you do want some of that crap, you just basically call the shop. So you call 216-795-5580 and talk to Renee. Renee's in charge of all the goodies. Like, Renee's in charge of putting stuff, as we've said before, it's amazing what Renee can fit into a box. It's magical how much shit she can cram into a box for our podcast listeners. But so that's what you do if you want some of that stuff. Well, she showed up and she said, my boyfriend loves it and I started listening to it and it's hilarious and you guys are fucking hilarious. And she straight up fangirled out in the showroom, and I was embarrassed. I fucking turned red and I had to just keep walking through the showroom because she was legit thrilled to be in the same space. And I pointed at the table and I was like, well, that's the table. And she's like, oh my God. And she was straight up legit having a moment. And it was a little weird for me.
Did she touch my mic at all?
I don't know. I got away from it, man. I don't know what she did.
Okay.
But we might have a chance to ask her.
Your mic's way too small.
She might be the second woman ever.
Yeah, for real, right? So anyway, so Rebecca. So that's Rebecca, and she came in and she just fucking geeked the fuck out. So it's super cool. I'm glad that Rebecca was able to swing by. She made me super happy, and we loaded a bunch of stuff on her too. So that's great. And because Rebecca
loaded or unloaded,
one in the chamber, but Rebecca is Chris Franklin's roommate. That's Chris Franklin's buddy.
Kimco guy.
Yeah. So like when she came in and she was like, "Oh, my buddy, my buddy Chris bought a scooter from you, bought a Kimco." I was like, "Oh shit, comes full circle." Now we put all the players together. It's like, yeah. So it's like it's one thing to think that he's got a brain injury, but to think that she has one too, maybe they actually like the podcast. So at first we were thinking maybe he had a brain injury,
right?
But because a lot of our listeners do. And we're not making fun of them. We understand people have brain injuries.
Well, some are self-induced from just abuse.
And throwing crates around.
Right.
Yeah, apparently. So anyway, fucking cool. So that was great, Rebecca. You're a fucking legend too. Thank you so much for coming in, because that was super cool.
I noticed we have a couple flies buzzing around.
Yeah, if anybody wants to kill those fuckers.
So a thing happened yesterday.
I'm going to ruin the whole podcast if I kill
We happened to be at Lowe's.
Yeah.
And I've wanted one for a while. I've been quizzical.
Yeah.
About the bug assault gun.
Oh, you got one.
And I'm like, you know what? They sell these things. I don't understand how it works. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm willing to spin the wheel of fortune, spend $40.
So for somebody that doesn't know what that is, so somebody that doesn't know what it is, what is it?
It looks like a Nerf gun, a pump action Nerf gun, and then you put salts in it, and you shoot flies with it, and lo and behold, it fucking works.
Oh, really? Wow.
It shoots an air puff of salt gun shotgun.
All right.
From about me to you, maybe me to Phil. But
okay.
I mean, the knockdown isn't that great, but when you figure you can get right on top of a fly, it's only that last little second they flush. Yeah. You can get it 6 inches away and just be like, poof.
Did you get it in safety yellow or danger camouflage?
Danger camouflage.
Danger camouflage. There's danger camouflage. Bug gun, the ultimate gadget gift.
I killed 10 today in a quick second.
Get the fuck out of here.
It took about 10 rounds, but I took down a big horsefly.
Really? I mean,
the first one got him, and he was like, oh, and he started, and then finally he went down to the ground.
Oh, really? So can you get multiple shots out of one load?
The only thing, we got a Jimmy. Every time you crank it, just keep cranking away. It keeps coming out.
Called the bug assault. Yeah.
Yeah, the safety mechanism's not cool, though, because when you cock it, it automatically sets the safety on.
Oh.
And you got to turn it off every time. So,
so you can't rapid fire.
We're going to have to tape that or something.
Have you tried to increase the pressure or?
Well, I thought about going
spring loaded.
Apparently, you can up the game and you can go to a CO2 one.
Oh, no way.
That is called the Bug Assault Shredder.
We're just using table salt, but I'm thinking maybe coarse sea salt might be a little better.
Yeah. I wanted to use that hot peppers.
Oh, yeah.
We got butt burp powder.
What's scary about the shredder is the whole back of the shredder is a legit Crossman 357 CO2 pistol. And then it's just the plastic, the barrel that's different.
Well, I thought it might sting if you get hit by it, but it doesn't. Did it hurt when I shot you the other day in the arm?
Yeah, because he shot me.
Of course he did. That was a foregone conclusion. We didn't even wonder how long it was.
But I got him back because he was making ribs for lunch.
Okay.
So I shot his ribs with the salt to season them.
I'm sitting there like, hey, can I get some salt?
Perfect. I think that'll
make Thanksgiving awesome. Pass the salt.
If we got another one with pepper, it'd be perfect.
I think that's great.
Sounds like you need eye protection.
Yeah.
It says right on it, don't shoot anybody in the eyes or the ears, but I figure that's the only way you're going to hurt anybody. So
right. Yeah. It's
could
pretty
you use
obvious.
it for home defense? If they're not wearing glasses, you bust them in the eyes.
Pretty good, yeah.
I'm 100%. I agree because that's the Mon Pa Kettle thing they always talked about on the Beverly Hillbillies.
The rock salt.
The rock salt in the side by side. That was the answer. Protected America backyards for
when you fill a shotgun shell with rock salt, that's still penetrating skin, right?
I have no fucking idea, dude.
It'll penetrate skin, but it burns like hell.
Yeah.
But it's not going to kill you, right?
Well, I mean, it could kill you. I mean,
it doesn't have the same weight as lead.
Kill you.
Okay. So lead BBs,
but it's not going to penetrate. More. It's not going to go deep.
Yeah,
I've only ever been shot by number 6 or actually number 7 shot. And that was at a distance far enough away that it broke the skin and it got under my skin and it hurt like a son of a bitch and it made me not trust my dad ever again.
Oh, you told us that story.
Yeah, it's a fucked up part of my childhood. Is like, Dad thought it was more important than shoot a grouse than to make sure the backblast area was clear. Like, there's a grouse, and there's a fucking your son behind him wearing orange.
Did he beat you for getting in the way of his shotgun?
No, but he was one of those kind of like tried to make me believe it was my fault.
Yeah.
The fuck
you
were
wasted
doing
a
that
shell,
for?
Phil. That was a whole shell for nothing.
That whole thing about like, you probably were walking too far ahead of the firing line. I was like, well, no, the firing line is based on where motherfuckers aren't walking, So if you're slow because you're a big fat dude and you're not moving as fast as a 9-year-old, the 9-year-old is the firing line. That's the firing line. The firing line is the humans in a row. That's the firing line. Right? You don't have the firing line is not an imaginary line that people can be in front of and or behind. No, the firing line is where the fucking humans are. Just fucking get your shit together, man. Anyway. Yeah. My dad taught me a lot of really important things about firearm safety, taught me a lot of stuff about gunsmithing and all kinds of cool shit, but he did also shoot me. So there's a little bit of column A and a little bit of column B going on there, right? So there's a price of admission. Yeah. And it might involve getting peppered in the legs.
Hey, this is the guy that showed up at 3 a.m. the other day. Now he's calling at 8:30.
He's on top. He's at 9 o'clock. He's calling really early. He's figuring the shop's open at 9:02.
Yeah, right.
Right. 9:02 on a Thursday night. Sure, why not?
Well,
one of our podcast listeners just likes the sound of the ringer.
Right.
Yeah. That was me calling.
If I do it at exactly the right time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's probably what it is.
And leave a message. You might hear me on the answering machine.
Oh, that's a brilliant idea. It doesn't work that way. Yeah. Yeah. That would be funny, though, if somebody did want to call in while we're doing the recording and see if they could leave their voicemail on the thing and come through the microphone. That'd be kind of interesting.
So, hey, scooters and motorcycles.
Yeah.
So the other week we were talking about the dead, but everybody liked it, but you said it wasn't that good. Italia Jet back in the day.
Yeah.
And then dragster.
The dragster. And then today, like as some weird, miraculous thing, I was snorting through all the news that I look through every day. And lo and behold, 2021, they have a new Italia Jet dragster that's a 4-stroke and goes 80 miles an hour, 200 cc's.
Yeah. It's and what's weird is they figured out a way to make it look more like the Lego Technica set from 1984. Right. So if you look at the picture, and I'll blow it up so it's nice and big, so you can see this in a.
And they got Davi supporting it.
Yeah,
Davi also.
They've spent some money. They're not skipping out on that. But what I am curious about is because Italia Jet was Piaggio product. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Italia Jet was one of the properties of Piaggio, and they're showing this as let's just say we're going to go for the 200 cc. Why would we dick around with anything else?
Especially, did you see the price difference? It's like 400 euros difference to go from 125 to 200.
Yeah, 300 euros. Yeah, so it's 300 euros difference to go from 125 cc's to 200 cc's, which, since neither of them is a 2-stroke, who cares, right?
Is that a licensing thing, you think, over there? Like, don't they have like a 125 cc license and then above or something?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, that's exactly what that is. So the weird thing is, the old Italia Jet, and, we knew it pretty well. I had one of them. I had the Gilera Runner, which is a far superior bike. But it not as sexy and not as weird as the Italia Jet. But the Italia Jet, look at it. They've actually made it look more like a transforming robot Lego device. I mean, there's this unnecessary number of circles and an unnecessary number of what looks to be aviation fittings on the thing and
but the cool
cast
part is
beam technology.
It is, but the trellis frame actually supports the suspension. I mean, like, it's a really interesting part of it engineering.
It's not fake.
No. I like how the back tire looks like a beefy, fat tire. It looks like a dragster because it's got like a fatter tire.
It's got a chunky tire on the back, yeah. You're right. I think it does look really nice and yellow.
Yeah, I mean, what's the 0 to 40 mile an hour? It maybe is, okay, so top speed's 80 mile an hour, but how quick is it?
Yeah, I don't know.
That would be cool if it was like geared kind of low and you could be like, what?
But I'm thinking nobody that gets this is leaving it stock except for 2 other people. So if it out of the box 80, that could be probably a pretty quick scooter for 200 cc's.
Respectable.
Yeah. So here's the interesting thing. China. So it doesn't anywhere on this doesn't say made in China. But here's an interesting thing. High-performance dual overhead cam engines to dominate the road as well as on the track. The Euro 5 engines are designed in Italy.
Oh, yeah.
You don't
not
say
made.
designed in Italy unless you're made in China.
Yeah, you're right.
So that's a secret thing about buying and selling motorcycles is you never say the Euro 5 engines are designed in Italy.
Right.
Because if your name is Italia Jet, for fuck's sake, then you don't need to say designed in Italy or whatever. You have to specifically, if you're saying the engine is designed in Italy, and since I don't recall, well, I'm checked this morning and I'm still a Piaggio dealer.
Right.
And at no point does Piaggio still advertise Italia Jet as being part of their brand, like in their family of brands.
Or announce that it's coming or anything, right?
Right, exactly. Right. There's been no corporate release on this thing. I kind of think that maybe this might be a Chinese company has purchased the name Italia Jet because Piaggio quit using it. And that's what I'm more inclined to believe because all of the things that I remember, because remember, we sold these.
Right.
Like this was something that I was a part of. And that these Italia Jets, the logo was very distinctive for Italia Jet, and they wouldn't give it up. So I noticed that nowhere on this vehicle are they using the Italia Jet, historic Italia Jet logo. So I think that's going to be.
They're like, hey, Vinny, actually some Chinese guys like, Vinny, can you find an office about 5 foot by 7 foot? Yeah, we will pay you to be in that office Monday through Friday. What do I have to do? No, you just have to be in that office. So we have an Italian office.
The original Italia Jet was designed by Alessandro Tartarini, I think. Yeah, Tartarini. And this does not necessarily appear to be him because he didn't sign his work anywhere. So that's kind of a curious thing too. So that's a little bit.
I still think it looks pretty good though. Not mad at it.
I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it.
What was the price though? Right. What would be the price in American dollarini?
5,400 euros. You're teetering on $7,000. Which is not bad. I mean, a Vespa GTS is $7,000, so
my Z900 was $7,000. John's Versys was what? Not $7,000.
Not $7,000.
Not $7,000, right? Exactly.
Still a good bike.
$7,000, right? That's exactly right.
South of $7,000.
Yeah. But this, I'll pull the image up of the original one just so you can see what the original one looked like because the original one is. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. I had questions about its handling. It was dubious. That very tricky front end. Did not translate to a really crisp handling bike on the racetrack, in my opinion. I just found that it was kind of, it didn't go where I pointed it, and it also didn't give me any feedback for what was going on. Then there was the problem of, look at the inequality between the front wheel and the back wheel.
Oh, yeah.
That's a little odd, isn't it? Yeah. So that back wheel's, in that 14-inch territory, and the front wheel's in the 12-inch territory. So... it's a
dragster. You got to have that bigger wheel,
the big back wheel, right? So that's kind of the way the old one was. So, but if somebody has more intel on this and can tell me or prove to me that the new dragster that we just got press released the shit out of, that new bike that everyone's kind of kooky about, because believe me, the internet forums went fucking crazy.
You think your buddy Robot would know anything about that?
I don't think it's necessarily. I would be more inclined to believe that somebody somewhere is going to be like, oh, well, that's being distributed by
Zhongsheng.
Yeah. yeah, exactly. Somebody. Yeah. And I think that's the thing is, Chinese company buys Italian name situation. Speaking of Chinese company buying Italian name situation, did anybody do their homework or read the homework?
I went through most of it.
Yeah. So what do you think about a Benelli 1200?
It looked pretty good, man.
Holy shit.
I mean, it could be it's like 2008 BMW styling.
It is. There's something about it that looks dated already.
Yeah.
There's something about it right now.
And the blue color needs to go. Whatever the one that you sent, not good.
It's not great, man.
But, I mean, if it has the Benelli quality...
Right.
And if you want a touring bike, at some point you don't care too much about the styling if the bike's good enough to do what it's supposed to do for touring.
Right. And that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. No question.
But they're not helping themselves by making it look like a beluga.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the color did not help it at all. I'll go ahead and pull one up here, but it definitely that was my complaint about it was just that color.
It's like Mystic Sky Blue Metallic or some shit like that. Like it's just not good.
It wasn't, and maybe that color pulls a lot of fucking freight in China, but it doesn't it didn't look cool to me. I wasn't like, oh yeah, that was the right color. They nailed that shit. They didn't nail it. It it hurt my eyes. You know, I didn't care for it one bit. But the weird thing about it is the price point, and that's when you look at that price point, they're talking about 11,000 pounds.
So 13 grand.
It's about 13 grand. So for a 1200cc GT bike, I don't know, man.
Well, I mean, compared to what though? Like, I mean, the BMW is going to be 25. The Honda Goldwing is what, 23-ish?
Yeah, that's true.
So there's still 10 grand under that.
Right. And what I will say is when you look at the luggage on this thing, the luggage looks extraordinarily practical, which means it looks Lego. Like the boxes look extremely square.
I think what's killing it, you know what makes it's kind of killing for me?
Yeah.
Is the metal in front of the boxes.
Oh, yeah, the crash bars.
Yeah, because like that, I don't know. There's something about that I don't like.
Yeah, the crash bars in front of the boxes. You know, it has all the stuff. It's full Brembo. Like, so they were talking about it. Like, everything on the thing, component-wise, is legit. But
it's going to come down to, does it ride well and does it feel well and can you put long miles on it? Because again, like, you know, a lot of the new Goldwings are nice, but years before that, they weren't the most sexy bike.
No.
The Yamaha Royal Venture or whatever the fuck those things are called were hideous, but people loved them.
Looking, yeah.
If you're going to do 4,000 miles in a week, that's not a bad bike to have, you know?
It's crazy. I mean, when you think about that, you're like, okay, well, now we're legit. It was one thing for us to talk about buying Chinese scooters. It's another thing to talk about a middleweight bike being produced by somebody in China.
Right.
For them, just, you know, like a BMW thing or like KTM thing, and going, okay, well, these are made in China. So like these over here are good shit. They're made, you know,
this is kind of like their flagship, right?
This would be their flagship.
And
this
so they're planting
monster.
their flag saying we're flagships. Because you're saying BMW, none of their flagship bikes are made in China.
Right, exactly. Right. So. And I think that's a very interesting thing when we look at something like Benelli, or when we look at, this motor, they're straight up using the phrase, this is a KTM derived. That's massive, right?
So that means it's made by CF Moto then?
CF Moto.
Okay,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. CF Moto's doing a 1250 TRG.
Right.
And that's their thing, is they're all about KTM. So CF Moto now gets to use the words KTM, right? Because of that partnership, or, one company's way bigger than the other one. But anyway, but that's a really, really interesting thing. So anyway, let's keep an eye on that and see what the fuck happens with that.
All the snobbists and the people that are like, oh, I will never ride anything but a KTM, blah, blah. Like, how are they handling the fact that KTM is dealing with...
If you're straight up fucking one of these guys is just like, I love Austria, Austria's great, Austria's so cool, Austria, and then you're like, oh shit, my KTM was made by CF Moto. Yeah, that's got to be hard to stomach. Oh, look, it's a little sweat bee. Oh man, you're too slow. I don't want to kill you. All right, flies.
I think he was in your booze, so he's like,
he might have been. He was moving a little weird, wasn't he? Yeah, I saw that. What I thought was hilarious was apparently this Benelli motorcycle has got a 15-inch screen on the dashboard. Mm-hmm. What the shit, man?
And if you read about it, it does all kinds of shit. Like you can, it has cameras.
Yeah, it has
front
cameras
and back
all over.
Cameras and everything all over and stuff like that. It's pretty cool.
But a 15-inch screen on a motorcycle. What the fuck, man?
It's going to be fully automated. That's the next upgrade. I don't have a 15-inch screen on
my fucking laptop, man.
You could probably put SD cards in it and record your... It's like
probably do everything. Yeah. Yep. Look, I'm riding through the mountains, and look, I just bought a toaster on fucking Amazon.
Well, I think they really had to add that, though, for the European markets, because a lot of those places now, their insurance is requiring dash cam footage to back up insurance claims.
Really?
Things like that. Yeah, that's why all the Russians and all the...
Yeah, they all have dash cams.
Yeah, so they can prove it in court. It wasn't them.
Wow, man, that's crazy. Yeah, that's something. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, I love that. They've added cameras to the front and rear to monitor traffic ahead and behind. Wow.
But I would like to see, so like our opinion is looking at that color.
Yeah.
I might Photoshop it this week and see what other colors it looks like. Maybe it'll look better. Yeah. Like maybe like a green or a yellow or...
You remember when when the BMWs first came in and kind of looked this way? When the R1200, like the R1150 and the R1100, the nose of the bike was kind of normal. Like it had one headlight. Mm-hmm. And then at some point, the BMW front end had 13 headlights. So they went from one headlight on the cop bike to being like the RT was the RT. And then all of a sudden, it didn't have one headlight anymore. It had like an array of headlights.
Yeah, the 1150 went to an array.
Yeah, it went to like all these different lights.
And then Yamaha went and like it looked like a spider eyeball.
Yes.
It was like fucking crazy.
Yeah, and it was just like the front end of the bike just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger until it was just like, this is ridiculous. And there are certain motorcycles out there, like the Yamaha touring bikes and stuff, that they're just, the windshields now are ridiculous. They're just so crazy.
So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
So BMW, the bikes are pretty high tech.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you know, you can get away with oil changes and, you know, whatever. But if you're a normal schlub, you're not cracking the motor in half and changing it. But BMW has a good dealer network. You can find a dealer pretty much anywhere. Even if you're going to Alaska or Tech, wherever, you can find it. Yeah. So this bike looks like it's going to be fairly complicated and have quite a bit of computer components and all this other stuff. Yep. So what's their dealer network like to get this thing serviced?
Me. And as much as you guys have seen all the documentation, like for prepping the bikes and building the bikes, and the assembly manuals they give us are amazing.
Okay.
And they do. Like SSR and Benelli teamed up and they have given us lots of resources.
But what I was going to get to is there's a lot of SSR dealers that carry the dirt bikes.
Right.
But there's not as many of the bigger ones that carry the actual big Benellis and stuff like you are.
Yeah, like I do, yeah.
So I know there's Cincinnati, there's here.
Yeah.
But like, you know what I mean? Like, and that's the kind of bike where like, if you're going to take this on a tour,
oh man,
you need to be like, oh, the shit's broken. Okay, the next dealer's in Boise, Idaho, or you know, wherever.
Guys, modern motorcycles, modern cars, modern trucks are so fucking complicated.
Right.
That I'll be the first to tell you, yes, I can sit there. My mechanics, myself, we can sit here and we can look through the service manual. We can look through the shop manual and we can figure out, okay, this component's bad. And this component hooks to this CAN bus system. And this hooks to this sensor. And then we track it out. But modern vehicles, there are no user serviceable parts inside. Like those days are over. Forget about that shit. Forget about diagnosing it or trying to troubleshoot it on the side of the road. And, I just took these two sensors out and I just twisted the wires together and I'm back on the road again.
Well, I stuck a paper clip in it.
Exactly.
Well, we were talking about before we started the podcast about like how I had my shit flashed and now it's a whole different bike.
Right. Yeah.
Back in the day, it was change the jets. Change the exhaust, tune this, air fuel mixture. Let's get this right. Oh, you know what? I'm not that good at it. Let me call John. He's the card king. Let me get him over. We'll take 4 hours and run it back and forth. Yeah. Now it's you send your ECU out, you get it back in, and a schmuck like me can plug it in, and all of a sudden your bike's a different bike. It's weird.
This to me is where I think everything has taken an insane shift for the better, but also for the worst.
When it goes bad, it's going to go bad quick.
Right. And when it goes bad, there is no kind of bad.
No.
Right? There is no, like, I can limp it home.
No.
When this shit fails, and we've had that happen here. Like, I can think back to...
It fails epically.
There's no getting it back. There's no, limping it home.
That's why I think they need to have a bike that is less complicated but advanced. Just like... Why can't they just have a fuel injection system?
Right.
Without all the rest of this bullshit?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, because that's what really goes bad. I mean, look at it on your car. What goes bad?
Oh.
Does your fuel injection system normally go bad? No.
Yeah. It's the $4 sensor. It's the $4 sensor. It's a wheel speed sensor over in the corner of the car. It's a pressure sensor here or a pressure sensor there. It's never the actual pump. It's never the actual injectors. It's never the actual driving mechanism that gets the air and the gas to meet and make cool things happen.
Maybe the bikes, maybe some of the higher end bikes have this and I just don't know about it. But to Steve's point, if you have all this bike with all this technology, when you have a fail, they should have a like a double thing where it shuts all the bullshit off, just has the fuel injection and the throttle work and your lights. You know what I mean? Like they should have like oh shit, we're fucked, but you need to go 1,000 miles mode.
Well, what they should do is, with all the AI they have right now, they should just map as you ride it, and you ride it. It maps every single condition until the point where it fails.
Right.
Then it just goes back and just
remember last known good setting.
Two of the three sensors, or one of the three sensors, and he knows how to adjust that.
Yeah, like
you said, limp home mode, but it won't have to be limp. It could be ride home.
Yeah, you just don't have all the features. Your automatic leveling suspension is not currently working, but the bike runs and you can go 1,000 miles if you need to.
That might be the smart money. So that might be like if you want to know.
Well, don't have everything all in one box.
Exactly.
A box for the suspension, a box for the ignition, a box for the fuel.
Well,
yeah, but that's a problem too, because look at you said the Piaggio MP3s have 3 computers, right?
Two. So we have a computer for the normal operating system, and we have a computer that works for the suspension lock system.
To all this point, so I was reading this whole article today on Adventure Rider. So all the guys are getting their Pan Americas.
Oh, of course they are. Yeah.
And I mean, still to this point, everybody loves the bike. Everybody said it's really a good bike. Like Harley's really turning it around. With this
they've
bike.
had 36 days of experience with it.
No, but still, like I'm saying, normal guys are also saying what the reviewers said.
Sure.
That it's torque's great, whatever.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. So the Harley dealerships are so used to selling that bike that you have back there,
the Springer,
that 3 guys now, or 3 or 4 guys, are complaining like they bought the one and paid the extra $1,500 for the automatic level, whatever
the height adjustment
system, and all this, and all this stuff, right? And so the guy's like, oh yeah, no, the one we got in has it, 100%. Here you go, whatever. And they get home and they turn it on, and it's not on it, and it doesn't do it.
Yeah.
But then there's no paperwork to back it up because nobody thinks to look at the invoice to see what. So they're like, no, you actually bought the bike. Sorry, that's your bike.
That's your bike.
But it's completely down to the salesman not knowing the difference.
They have no idea.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's kind of getting interesting in that respect.
I mean, it's a very complicated motorcycle.
Yeah.
I mean, we know the the Africa Twin that has the CVT the DCT transmission.
Yeah.
And the Africa Twin, Liza's bike, has so many fucking controls on the handlebars that, as a person who's an experienced motorcycle rider, in a short 20-minute ride, I could not figure out what each of those buttons did when I pressed them.
Right.
Okay, that's a warning sign. If a person who rides motorcycles every day for a living, like I said, easily today I rode a dozen different motorcycles. If I can't figure out what all of your buttons do, you need to hire a different engineer.
I had to set my clock on my FZ09 because I did somewhere I unhooked the battery.
Yeah.
And just today I found a whole menu of shit I didn't know I had.
You didn't even know existed.
Like when you hold the one button down for 3 seconds, it opens up this thing, and then you have all these other fucking things that I didn't know about.
Right.
I mean, and never used it before, never had to.
That's exactly it.
It's crazy.
It is crazy. It's a very difficult. I think the idea that John was talking about is brilliant. By having things segregated, like literally having quarantined. So you quarantine suspension items over here. You quarantine ABS items over here. You quarantine traction control items over here. You can totally operate without any of those systems. Like you can lose, like, Houston, we've had a problem. We've lost our traction control. Carry on, right?
Safely.
And, yes, fuck onward.
You
Enjoy
can
yourself,
unplug
right?
that module, and the bike will still run.
Exactly. Right.
And
Worst
still
case
be
scenario.
Sprung.
Right.
Yeah, your dash light comes on and says, this is not currently working.
Right.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah. And, you get another dash light that says something like, ABS is gone.
Right.
You've lost your ABS. But the bike still works.
Right.
No reason to shut it down.
No brakes are locking up or anything.
Exactly.
Right.
That probably is the smartest way to do things. And then now maybe it will do things like it will restrict your performance to 90 miles an hour. So that would be an incentive for you to go to your dealership.
Well, see, then, but we're talking about, then it has to communicate with the main box. And now, so everything's, so that's the argument for having one box.
That's true.
We're not going to have all these boxes. We'll have one box. Everything will be tied to it.
Right.
It'll be engine management. It'll be everything management.
Yeah.
And it'll manage everything on the bike.
Oh, I'll tell you.
And when we need to kill the power to the bike because something's not working, we will.
There's nothing in the world worse than having to replace a turn signal relay in an Aprilia motorcycle. Because it's in the dashboard. It's in the speedometer.
Yeah. Well, it's at X9.
And so is everything. Yeah. Everything's... So where is that? I noticed I was looking through your bike. I couldn't find the flash unit. Because you can't. Why?
Right. Brand new bike. Front left turn signal would not work.
Right. What do we need? A $1,200 dashboard.
Yeah, new gauge cluster.
Gauge
that's
cluster.
Where everything was built.
And the wires are blonde short one.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the gauge of the wires in that Aprilia.
Well, and it was funny too because everything the whole top end was just like, well, okay, we'll just troubleshoot it. And then we got the whole display cluster out, and we're like, we're not troubleshooting shit. This thing's held together with ribbon. Like it is literally ribbon tape holding everything together, and you're like, oh, this is no serviceable points in.
I mean, look, you're putting together this 125, one of these guys that you're building right now.
Yeah.
The front of it's off, and there's a shit ton of. It's a fucking 125cc scooter.
Yeah, it's a 125cc scooter.
There's computers
in it. 9 relays. Yeah, it's fuel injected. It's got ABS front, ABS rear. Like there's legit shit happening inside of a 125cc scooter these days.
Relays.
Yeah. Oh, there's relays. Lots and lots of relays. But yeah, I think that idea of segregating things and making it so one system goes down, it doesn't take down the whole ship.
Yeah.
And that's important. That's especially for an adventure bike, for fuck's sake.
So obviously all the manufacturers listen to this podcast.
Yeah,
so hopefully you're taking notes.
No, they're not.
No, then the guy in the finance department's like, fuck those guys. That would cost us 10 cents more.
That would,
right.
that would cost us a lot more. Yeah, and you're absolutely right. I mean, that's frightening when it comes down to it. So, yeah, I've been lucky enough to not have any mechanical problems. My only problem recently was I was riding the Trail 125.
Oh, yeah.
And I got to say, the Super Cub, because the Super Cub has been breathed on, and the Super Cub's got a power commander, and the Super Cub's got a pipe on it, and the Super Cub is all too happy to go 65 miles an hour.
Yep.
I will ride it on the freeway.
Sure.
The Trail 125...
Not so much.
needs all of those things. It has the full erector set welded to it.
Right.
What it needs.
Well, you lost 10 miles an hour. He added 700 pounds to the bike. So yeah, there's that.
But what it fucking desperately needs is to be uncorked and allowed to go into beast mode, because my God, is that thing fucking hard to ride. Because you're just like, pin, and you look down and you're like 56. And you know that's 51 because of the 10% speedo error. So
that's great, man. Though, compared to an old one.
Right. So to go an old to a Trail 90, the 51 is great.
You'd be happy if you go 56 on a 110 or a 90.
Oh, yeah. But now it's just like, no, because the Super Cub is so good. The Super Cub just rages. It's so happy to, and I beat it to death the other day on the freeway. I was like, got down in a full tuck, pinned it wide open, and just left it there for 25 minutes. I mean, my throttle never dropped from WFO for 25 minutes on a fuel-injected 125.
But I think Honda has that thing like its wide open throttle is still 25% below its problem point.
Yeah, but then it's like it's got a power commander on it, and it's got an aftermarket pipe on it, and the Honda went, we've allowed for that.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
We've allowed for that because it didn't miss a beat.
It still has a rev limiter
somewhere, right? And it didn't. It literally did not miss a beat. And it got to the point where I was passing a couple of cars on the freeway, and dudes look over and they're like, "No, no, dude's passing me on a red moped right now," and I'm like, "Fuck it, just make myself small. Just be small, be small." And that's what I did. And that fucking thing, I gotta say, very, very happy. So I'm hoping to get that same level of happiness at some point with the Trail 125. So if you guys who own Trails have secret sauce to make them go super fast, or at least marginally fast, I'd like to know. So did anybody check out the Tough Turbine?
I did, and it made me laugh out loud, but also like I was like, damn, that's actually a really good idea.
That's a really good idea. So so for people who are Sikh, for people who are legit Sikh, people that practice that religion, who says that your hair, the thing you wear on your head has to be a turban.
Yeah, because when you sent it, I figured it was going to be like a plastic cap that looks like a turban or something.
I thought for sure it was going to be like the urban turban. I thought it was going to be basically a motorcycle helmet that had grafted onto it something that made it look like you tied a knot.
But so my question is, because as cool as this thing is, right? So, I mean, obviously I don't know a lot about the religion, and I'm not in any way making fun of it or anything. I'm just asking questions. Couldn't they wear like a open face helmet and put a turban on top of the helmet?
I have no idea. Look, and I am right there with you.
Because like that kind of confused me. Like, but does it have to be? I guess it's apparently from what they're saying. I think it has to be the material on their head.
What I know about the Sikh religion, the lifestyle, the history, and everything does not work. I don't know shit about it, and I live in a part of the world where we straight up don't have many around. Many folks around here, but it is in Canada and stuff where you've got a larger portion of the population who are that and ride motorcycles, and that's their rules. I mean, that's what they're living by.
But the one thing that was interesting, so the link that you sent, so about 3/4 the way through it, I actually realized it wasn't a Harley Davidson advertisement.
Right. Well, because the company that came up with it is affiliated with or partners with a super large Harley Davidson dealership.
Okay, because the whole time, like everybody's wearing Harley stuff, and they didn't mention that it was a company name, and they kept saying like we are open to everybody, we want everybody to ride. So I was like, oh wow, Harley's like really opening their market up, but then at the end it was like no, Tough Turbine. Like
exactly right, and that's coming from the group is Zulu Alpha Kilo ZAK, that is partnered with, and it says a partnership between ZAK, Zulu Alpha Kilo, and Toronto dealership Pfaff Harley Davidson. So you see that there's a lot of
partnership.
There's a lot of partnership there.
But they actually put some time and effort and technology into this thing.
Dude,
it's pretty cool.
If you blow off our podcast and don't fucking do anything we tell you to do and fuck off and don't do anything, this is something that's worth it. And it's on our Facebook podcast, Cleveland Moto Facebook page notes, the Tough Turban. Read their fucking page and look at the way they build this thing and kind of look at how much passion and engineering went into a very complex problem. Because again, if the rule was we have to have something on our head that looks like, there's no reason in the world why there hasn't already been a fucking DOT Yarmulke.
Right.
Wait, there is. If I've been to Daytona,
I wanted a Snell-rated one.
Right, a Snell-rated Yarmulke. Yeah. Britt, I have been to Sturgis. I've been to Daytona, and yes, there are booths that sell you something that is so fucking small, I don't even think it would be a C cup.
I like all the New York guys now are into the flat brim. Like I'm wearing this could be a helmet, but they make it out of helmet.
Yeah, they make it out of helmet. Yeah, it's a baseball cap, but it's a helmet, and the jockey helmets too. Or as the gentleman who like to come and say, the German style helmets.
The German.
You mean a Nazi helmet? No, German style helmets.
Yeah, German style.
Yeah, we got that a lot of that shit going on.
We tried to say that last week when you weren't here and it didn't work. We needed you to say it.
He can say it perfectly.
No, I know, but it wasn't you, though.
It was more, we were like, as soon as we said it, we were like, oh, yeah, they wanted the German style helmet. We were looking for you to be
Say it. You got to say
it. He does it the highway.
Yeah.
He does it the highway. And I go, zit Germans.
Yeah.
Right. He does it better because he goes high with it. And I think it sounds way better. So the EU and the US is deciding to ditch the fucking tariffs. So this that are literally, it's a two-way street between the steel industry and the motorcycle industry. And as a guy I sell a lot of Italian-made motorcycles here. It's kind of my thing. All right. And this is a big deal, but it also affected our American bikes going into Europe because the Indians and the Harley Davidsons were getting massive fucking tariffs slapped on their asses too. And that went on for fucking ages. And the good news is it seems like we're completely pulling out of it, and it's not. We're going to stop the bleeding on that one, because believe it or not, our European friends do like to buy Indians and Harley Davidsons, and we also like buying Ducatis and Moto Guzzis and all kinds of cool shit. So that tariff was really a dick situation.
That could really open the door for somebody like Zero.
It could, and I think that Zero does sell almost half of the bikes that they build in Europe. So like they already have a big foot, but imagine if you pull that tariff away, because when I look on the European market and I see what our friends in Europe are paying for Harleys, or paying for Zeros, or paying for Indians, they're paying 30-40% more than we are, all because of a tariff.
Well, the guy from Denmark told me it was twice as much.
Yeah, I don't doubt that. I don't doubt it. And that's the thing.
He said he had a Harley. He
did?
He was assigned to the United States to some wastewater equipment.
Oh, wow.
And he said that he had a Harley in Denmark, and that he said he priced one here, and the one that he bought in Denmark was twice as much as what it was here because of all the tariffs on it.
That's why, like in places like Japan, it's like a prestige. To have a Harley is like you're a fucking baller. You might as well have a Ferrari or something.
Yeah, and that's painful. And when you
Would there
think
be
about
a tariff on used bikes?
I don't think so, because
if you were filling up
used.
containers of used Harleys and shipping them to Denmark?
Might have something to do with probably the same kind of a 25-year rule that we face bringing things this way. They probably have something there that says for EU compliancy, the vehicle has to be at least certain years old to be called a collector vehicle. But, that was the thing that they said it was about $3.4 billion. So
to talk about what you were just talking about, the 25-year thing. So that RPM thing that everybody's talking about, now it's getting big. Mecum Auctions and also SCCA and all these other people are jumping on it and saying you have to write your senators and your things. The EPA right now, if the bill goes through, is going to squash all motorsports.
Right.
Pretty much. Yeah. They're going to make it so no motor vehicle can be modified with any parts whatsoever from factory.
Right.
It doesn't matter because you're trying to squash any carbon-based fuel. So if this continues the way it's going, there will be no piston-powered vehicles.
Yeah, but I think that
There's a way of doing it, though, man.
But there'll be no gasoline-powered cars by 2035.
No, look at even Elon Musk. Even Elon Musk said that that's not the smart way to do it. The guy who makes the best, the biggest.
Well, the manufacturers have all kind of said. I mean, Volvo came out and said they're not going to produce anything gas-powered after 2030, et cetera, et cetera. All these different things going on. I don't think there's any chance in hell that red-blooded Americans who wear red hats are going to allow any law to pass that says they can't drive their 20-year-old Corvette. And a lot of those guys are in Congress.
Well, a lot of people learn how to make gas.
Well, yeah, but I just don't. And believe me, Senator Dickface's yacht doesn't run on turbine, like wind turbine power.
It's true.
Senator Dickface's yacht runs on diesel or gas.
Right.
So guess where Senator Dickface is going to get the fuel from his yacht?
Right.
They're not going to pass a law that basically impedes their own ability to do
they're just going to make it so expensive, though, that the common guy will not be able to get it.
But what I'm saying, though, is right now, there's us, which we don't, most of us don't race anymore or do anything, but we're still involved in modifying and fucking with our bikes. But a lot of people race. But like, if you look at the general, if you go to Karen that lives downtown, she doesn't give a fuck about modifying cars. Sure. She's probably like, oh, the environment, the penguins are going to do better if we don't let. But like, it's going to kill a whole.
You're not allowed to open your hood.
By the way, the polar bear population has tripled.
Okay, good.
Yeah, they just don't have any ice.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. They like it better, I guess. I mean, evidently, the ice is cold on the
seals better.
What if the whole time they were just wearing fucking fursuits?
Yeah.
Well, they are black underneath. I thought that was interesting. But here's the what I'm concerned with. I remember because growing up in my household, my father was into pre-war cars. Like that was his thing. He was very heavily into pre-war cars. In long about 1983, they said, you're not going to be able to buy leaded gas anymore.
Right.
And everybody who owned a car that was built before the catastrophic converter lost their fucking mind. Mm-hmm. They went, if we can't buy leaded gas anymore, what are we going to put into our 69 Wildcat?
Right.
What are we going to put into our 65 Vet? What are we going to put into our 57 T-Bird? Right? If we can't buy leaded gas anymore, you guys are literally, you fucking politicians are going to kill your EPA. You're going to kill the classic vehicle hobby. You're going to make it worthless for us to have all these cars. You're going to make it worthless for us to restore cars because if you don't have T-Rex chow, you can't have a T-Rex in your garage, right?
Right.
It's just that kind of a thing. I mean, we know that. And my dad, who is slightly to the right of Genghis Khan, right? My dad, who gave G. Gordon Liddy a run for his money, right? My dad was like, this is bullshit. The day I can't buy leaded gas at the pumps, fuck it, I'm getting rid of everything, right? That was my dad's jam. Like, that was his thing. But
he bought the additive.
Yeah, I got shit.
Yeah, but I'm just saying,
I got shit that I ride in my garage from 1956.
But wait, we'll all sit here and bitch about ethanol and what it does in our old bikes, and how it's really a fucking shitty. You know what I mean? Yeah. So we're feeling it.
What's our alternative? We still can buy boat gas. Right, like
or 100% gas.
One or two places around here, you can go make a special trip and go get boat gas.
No, and believe me, I'm not saying it's good.
But if they outlawed that and VP couldn't sell it and you couldn't get it at the boat gas station?
See, well, that's what I thought about that
today. To run your vehicle on whatever's available. They
won't outlaw it. They won't outlaw it because Senator Dickface has a 1963 Chris Craft.
Yeah,
and Senator Dickface has 86 lobbyists. Yeah. Who are lined up in a row who are also Dick Faces.
Oh, Senator Dick Face has a brand new Chris Craft.
He does.
That has the fucking lean
diesel
burn.
Turbines and everything else.
It has the lean burn. It's built to run modern.
He's got it LS swapped if he's.
But the city of Cleveland had that problem with their fucking police boat.
Absolutely.
Where they've gone through 2-3 sets of motors because
you can't run. Pump gas.
They're lean motors and they're trying to run them on ethanol fuel and it doesn't work.
Now, here's an interesting thing. So every year I go to the Vintage Boat Meet in Vermilion, Ohio. This is where you can go touch a boat and get splinters.
Oh, wood, yeah.
Okay, everything there is wood and old and shit. Every single person who's there, I guarantee, votes Republican. Mm-hmm. I'm going to clue you in on that. I go there, and I'm one of the weird people, right?
Oh, yeah, because it costs about $50,000 a year to maintain a lineman.
Exactly.
Because it's all rot.
It's exactly right. To swim in that circle, to coin a phrase,
you need to have money.
You got to have money, right? That is not a poor man's sport. Poor man's got the Bayliner out back, right? But the guy who's got the Lyman, the guy who's got the beautiful Chris Craft or whatever, the mahogany boat, he's got a few bucks in his pocket. Those are
He's also got a Beneteau.
Right.
He's also got a 45 or 65-foot Beneteau.
Sure.
And this is only his weekend his play boat.
But the point being that people like that are not going to let their hobby be taken away. Just like Jay Leno and Jay Leno's friends didn't let classic cars be taken away when lead fuel was no longer available. There's all these kinds of interesting ways around it. Now, people are still buying 1963 Ford Galaxies. Yeah. James did.
Yeah. James just bought a 63
Galaxy.
But also, what's the most popular thing that people are doing with those old cars?
Oh, yeah.
Ripping the motor out and fucking
LS2 swaps.
Fuel injected modern motor in them.
Absolutely. And that's an option too. But again, Johnny Chrome has a Model A. You can't get any older than a Model A.
Just pour kerosene on that fucker.
You mean on it? Just pour kerosene on it?
On it, whatever.
Let it drip into the cylinders. It'll run.
It'll be fine. But so it is a very much thing. Like I grew up through one culture listening to my dad be like, it's the end of society as we know it because they're taking the lead out of gasoline.
It's never like that.
No, it's not.
No, but I mean, if you have 5 minutes, you can send your displeasure to the EPA or the senator.
They don't listen to you.
But they listen to their billionaire buddies.
Yeah, but we're not. None of us are billionaires, and
but here's the thing with the racing, with all the different forms of racing, there are huge sponsors that are big billionaires, and if they're going to lose that advertising and stuff, they might take that seriously.
Well, what I don't get though is you're saying that they're not going to be able to modify an engine at all.
Nothing. You can't modify a car, period, or any vehicle, period.
Yeah, but those cars are like one-offs almost. I mean, look at that car.
But they would be illegal at that point. Well, that's what they're saying,
and that's going to be the old thing that's always been a bite in the ass is be like, is this for the public or is this for competition use only?
But but that's the
thing.
saying
there won't be competition use
only.
There
won't be competition use exclusion anymore.
Right.
Just like the guy.
Do you know who's going to have something to say about that?
Every competition guy or no?
Yeah, the people like Target and Tide. And the people who have their names on the sides of cars.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. They have a lot of money.
But so that guy that got sued by the EPA and ended up getting a lien fine of $18,000 for selling 25 ECU modifier jumpers. Right. His thing was on his website said for off-road use racing only. Right. They said that's not an excuse anymore.
No.
You can't use that.
Right.
Yeah, but how can, my pet peeve is they're unelected officials and they make rules and they tell you what to do when I didn't elect anybody from the EPA.
Well, of course not.
No, and so they need to make those need to become laws to make the force of law be behind it. But they just make rules, arbitrary rules, and they joked, like I said, I think I said a few weeks ago, they joked that like 2 years ago, we made more rules this year than, it was during COVID.
Right.
We made more rules than we've ever made before.
Right.
So good luck going through them. I mean, it's like... That's what I say. See that?
Yeah. But when that's not to the podcast listeners. When I see,
it could be if you agree with it.
I guess when I'm going to be concerned, when I think that actually might happen, because right now it's a lot of talk but no hot wax. Right now it's a statement. Right now it's this. And Weiskel got hit with fines for selling things that were supposedly race use only to the general public because. If your exhaust system says for competition use only on it, but every GSXR on the road has one on it, and Slappy's House of Mufflers over there is bolting them on every single GSXR that comes in, or if Dave's, Hayabusa shop doesn't sell a single Hayabusa without, whatever pipe on it, then that's going to get the attention because
But here's the thing that comes to personal responsibility because how do they know that you are not racing it?
Well, how come rolling coal wasn't a fucking federal offense 9 seconds after the first guy figured out how to do it?
Right. You know why? Because the effect on our environment is negligible.
No, but if you're riding a bicycle, you get rolled coal on.
In our circle, there's a lot of people.
I want to roll coal.
In our circle, there's a lot of people who would go get a bike and put a new exhaust on it and get their ECU flashed.
Exactly. Right.
I guarantee that's your bike that you did that to is one in 10.
Right.
There's the other 9 Z900s out there are rolling with the exact same
stock. Yeah.
Right. And that's a small fish in a very small pond and a very insignificant puff into the grand fucking scheme of things.
Well, especially when
even the guy rolling coal. Yeah. Right. That's a 3-second video where he did that. 99% of the time, the guy's trying not to waste diesel because he can't, it's expensive.
It hurts his wallet.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, every 747 that takes off holding your overnight Amazon package, when it takes off, it burns 100,000 gallons of fuel.
And there's 20 Amazon trucks on your street a day.
No,
instead of just one. Yeah.
Right now.
Instead of just one.
Right.
Sending, having a proper like UPS.
Exactly.
UPS does next day.
Right.
Amazon's trying to do today.
No, they're doing literally. That can be there in 12 minutes.
They said that UPS trucks don't make left turns because it's inefficient.
It's true.
They don't back up. You're not allowed to back up.
No, can't back up.
Really?
It's true.
Yeah, no. I read some article that they said that they set the routes up so that everything's a right turn.
Yeah.
Because what? There's extra 5 feet going left?
No, because it's inefficient to turn left. You got to wait for a red light. You got to wait for a red light. It slows your way down. If you can cut red lights out of your day and you drive 200 miles a day, that's a real big improvement.
Okay.
So... But
they don't have routes with Amazon. They're just okay, you go here.
Here's my warning sign. I guess when I'll be fucking worried.
The canary in the
coal mine to me is when I see a shift in the recreational vehicle industry to propane or electric. So when I see the RV go by, that says,
like when Polaris partners with Zero to build.
So when I go down to my local RV shop, or when I'm driving across Indiana, and you can't avoid RV places when you're driving across Indiana because that's where they're all made. When I see a whole fleet of fucking RVs out there that is soon to be occupied by the Senator and former Mrs. Child Toucher,
by Mr. Fusion,
right? When I see all of our RVs are now proudly propane, or now all of our RVs are proudly electric. When I see that, because there's nothing more obviously conspicuous wealth than a big fucking RV. A Class A motorhome is a way to say fuck you to everybody who lives in a Section 8 project. Because my car house is nicer than your only house, right? Because my car house costs $300,000 and it has a garage in it with another car in it.
I want a car house.
I would say,
right?
Part of that is true.
Yeah.
Part of that is a lot of people at some point in life sell their house and buy one of those.
I got many people in my family who've done it.
Yeah.
Many people in my house who've sold a $75,000 house to take on a 30-year car payment, aka mortgage, on a depreciation factory. There's nothing.
Yeah, there's no reason to buy a new one.
A Class A motorhome has a depreciation factor that cannot be figured out using numbers made in our Arabic numbers.
My neighbor, friends of ours was over, and they're like their neighbor.
Right.
And the neighbor, I've been over there. Yeah. The kids are running around naked and stuff. They have a house right over here in West Park. They have 4 kids. Yeah. They've got 2 dogs, 2 cats, whatever.
Yeah.
They just bought a brand new trailer.
Sure.
The biggest one you could find with bump outs. They don't have anything to tow it with. No. They still have to sell their house so they can buy a pick-em-up truck
to tow their trailer
with their whole family. And that's what their new plan is with the 4 kids and the dogs and the cats and everything. That they're just going to be nomads and live for the next year.
My friends just did that. My wife's best friend sold their house 2 blocks away from us, bought an RV that they got hosed on.
Of course they did.
They got stored for 3 months. They're like, we'll store it for you. And they didn't charge it or anything. When they got it, all the batteries are dead. They had to replace everything.
There's nothing in the world built worse. The construction standards that your home had to be built by are well established, right? When we build a house, when we build a septic system, when we build a plumbing system, there are fucking codes for all of that shit. If you say it's a camper, nothing.
If there's an airbag in it, it's only because there was an airbag in the van before it got gutted. There's no other.
But I have seen and I have taken apart, and I've been party to being taken apart, how these Class A motorhomes are built, and they are literally trash. And that's why when I bought mine, I bought an Airstream. I bought a fucking Airstream. The reason I bought an Airstream, because I knew how it was built, and I knew it wouldn't literally fall apart.
Right.
and I had to buy a 40-year-old Airstream so I could get something in my price point.
And the parts are still available.
Still available.
You can get some that are actually like, my brother had a Keystone, and it was all aircraft aluminum frame and stuff, so it was a little better.
Things exist that you can buy.
Well, some of the ones that are based on like pusher buses, those are really well built.
Well, but the best clue to give anybody for now we're on the fucking the Airstream podcast, but the best clue is to buy something that is a commercial truck chassis, because that is designed to carry 40,000 pounds.
Those
50,000 pounds.
$150,000.
Exactly. That's the point.
So we're talking about all this crazy EPA stuff and emissions and stuff. Meanwhile, in Europe, they have a new 75 blown horsepower, 140 mile an hour Langston 2-stroke motor and motorcycle gains Euro 5 approval.
Okay. Yeah.
So like they're figuring out ways to make 2-stroke motors fucking like, and Euro 5 is way worse than what we have here. Of course.
Yeah.
But they're doing it.
Right. Because again, you can make something as clean as you want to make it. It can still be technically a 2-stroke.
But I think, like, I saw an article, and I was trying to look up that article. I think Kawasaki or Yamaha also approved a new 2-stroke that was super, like, efficient and clean.
Well, I was talking about that Kawasaki motor that was it was like a 2-stroke diesel turbo, fucking everything.
I think it got approved. Yeah, I think it got approved just recently.
What do? They put like external crank bearings on it or something so that the lubrication is external?
I've often thought of like, what if you did aircraft, ceramic greased bearings that never, you know what I mean? Like there's no wet sump. It's just unpackable bearings. You know what I mean? Like sealed bearings, the whole fucking motor with 54,000 RPM bearings.
Right. Yeah.
With high.
Yeah. Look, I mean,
do it.
This motorcycle that's right here. Yeah. The bearings that are in this thing are supposed to last a lifetime with no maintenance.
Yeah, those are probably a sealed bearing on the motor. There's no oil bath. There's no.
And many, many motorcycles that we work on, the axle bearings and the wheel bearings and everything else, and the steering head bearings and everything else, they should legit never need to be changed. They should legit never need to be serviced. In a 100,000 mile or 20-year life cycle of the vehicle, modern bearing technology, that's completely normal.
You can never run out of oil because the bearings always have grease.
Yep.
Like TRX 300 run bearings.
Oh, not the case. Yeah, no. If there's, that is one of those things. If you fuck around with quads or ATVs or anything else, you'll know. If you're buying a used quad or a used ATV, just accept the back end is going to be shot.
Yeah.
Just accept it. If you think for a second, 90% of them are being sold because the back end is shot.
Right. They've been in mud 3 feet deep, just cranking for fucking forever.
I love when you see the ads. They're like, this thing will go through the mud. It's never gotten stuck. This thing loves the mud. I'm like, you're not selling this bike very well to me.
It has no bearings left in it. Yeah. It's great in the sand. Yeah, I'm sure it is.
I buried this thing, and it digs its way out every fucking time.
Yeah.
There was a, I don't need any bikes at all right now, but I still look because I'm an idiot. So I'm going through the things, and you see a thing, it's like, this bike's perfect, never been stunted. And the fourth picture has a stunt cage on it, but he took it off and forgot the fact that it was like, or the guy that has like the wheelie pictures, like babied bike, and then it shows him doing a wheelie on the fifth picture. You're like, dude, do you understand what the babied bike means? It's not that.
If you go to the guy's Facebook page, like people don't realize I'm selling this shit on Facebook Marketplace. Yeah, you are.
View profile.
Right, exactly. If the second image is with you 12 o'clock in this bike, right?
Or worse, doing the standing on the cage circle barn.
Right. Yeah. Just running it in circles. Yeah. Oh yeah. I get it. Yep. Fucking ridiculous.
Wow, that looks like the bike you're selling. There's new plastics on it.
Yep, that's what it is.
The TRX is doing well though.
Is it? Fucking embarrassing.
Fucking
embarrassing. You got to kick a trash can.
Wait a second.
That's a tug.
Okay, look. If the TRX shifts, right?
Oh yeah.
And have you replaced the bearings in the back end?
We rebuilt the whole rear end.
Okay, kick ass.
I don't know. Thing's fine.
Hey, you weren't here last week. Did you hear you didn't listen to the podcast? Shorzy has his own show coming out.
No way.
Oh yeah, he didn't know about this.
But Shorzy's Wayne.
Yeah, but it's a spin-off, and it's Shorzy.
Well, and that's the idea. He can never show his face, I guess. But when you're talking about that, so does that bike have one fucking live axle, or does it have like a half shaft?
So it has one axle.
Right.
In the rear.
So
it goes.
So solid axle, two-wheel drive.
The rear end.
The front has.
Right.
You slide the axle in, and there's a stop.
Yep.
There's a bolt on this side. then the brakes slide over that.
Yep.
And then the drum slides over that.
Right.
And then the cover slides over that.
Right.
And then there's a double nut to hold the whole thing from shifting.
Yeah.
And then everything's splined.
Right.
I mean, so the axle is pretty interesting because it's a spline, super fine thread. I mean, the finest thread I've ever seen in my life.
Really?
Because you have a nut and a jam nut to go on, you know what I mean?
But the thread is like so fine. I thought it was just machining marks.
No, it's thread.
But it's thread.
Wow.
And then spline.
Yeah.
And then like a buttress.
But yeah, that's
and then
the
another spline. And then another machine thread, and then another spline. I mean, it's a work of art, really.
So did you buy a new axle, or did you refab the old?
No, the axle was fine. I mean, really, they could have gotten away with
the ring and pinion were shot.
Yeah.
Well, all the bearings were gone.
Right.
But, I mean, they was all rusty and everything, so you could have cleaned it up.
Yeah.
And if you put all new bearings
all balls,
in,
or where'd you get? What kind of bearings did you get?
I don't know. The guy had already bought it, but he had monkey.
They didn't know about heating and cooling and putting bearings
He pressed in the needle bearings were all. He was trying to press in the one shaft, and all the needle bearings were laying in the bottom of the.
Smushed the cage.
He ruined the cage. Yeah, he ruined the cage.
So it was already there was
destroyed. Yeah.
Like on a car, you just have your pinion has bearings here, all on this side.
Yep.
That actually had a bearing on the other side, of the gear on the pinion. So it has bearings here. It has a bearing here.
Oh yeah.
Seals, bearings here, bearings here. It has to be bearing, heat this, beat this. It was a very interesting procedure. To get it all put together.
And that's why it's like when we've done a couple of these for people that were like, man, we don't work on ATVs, we don't work on quads. And you know, why not? Why not? Why not? Why don't you work on ATVs and quad? Why not? Why not? It's a motorcycle. Why not? Why not? Well, if we have to replace the bearings in the back of your ATV for a Honda Rancher.
Yeah, it's like 4 hours, 5 hours.
7 hours.
7 hours.
7 hours.
So
times $90 an hour, and we're cheap.
Yeah, and that's more than your quad's worth.
Thank you. Yeah. Exactly. But you can't
not
have
right
that.
now. But yeah.
Right. You can't have that.
Yes, but not right now.
And I will tell you this. You cannot have that conversation with the customer.
All right.
Right? And that's the thing. And we had this conversation with a guy the other day. And this happens all the time. And keep this in mind if you've ever thought you wanted to work at a motorcycle shop. When the guy calls up and says, okay, so I've got this Ninja. I got this Ninja 500. And I parked it in, I think it was 13. And you're like, yeah.
It ran great.
And, I forgot about it or whatever. And
I left the petcock on.
Oh, come on. Of course, right? And so, but when this guy...
Neolithic bugs are caught in the amber in the carburetor.
And when this guy starts arguing with her over the phone...
Jeff Goldblum's asking for the fucking...
Life finds a way.
Yeah.
But when the guy starts arguing with you over the phone, he's like, oh, so you got to rebuild the carb. So that's going to take, what, an hour? And I'm like, well, is this your motorcycle? Yeah. Well, it has 2 carbs. Mm-hmm. And the book says that's 4 hours. Right. And, and all this thing. And, well, yeah, but you can get that down. Dude, you haven't even walked in my shop yet and you're already trying to beat me down.
Right.
I don't think our shop is up to your standard. Right. I really don't think we can live up to your standards. I'm going to recommend you call somebody else. Fuck you, you're an asshole. Fuck you, man. What are you, a fucking prima donna piece of shit? You fucking, and you think the fucking sunshine comes out of your ass? Fuck you. I'm going to leave you a shitty review on Yelp.
3 stars.
Exactly, yeah.
And the thing is that in situations like that, his opinion of what a good carb is and what your opinion of a good carb is completely arbitrary to his fucking belief.
So if it was so simple, they would do it themselves.
Right. But
seriously,
that's
the thing is, none of them can do it themselves, but they all think they're qualified to negotiate.
How many ads have you looked at on Craigslist or Marketplace that says, sat for a while, the carbs could use a clean, and then the dude actually takes a picture of the motor, and the whole car, it's like one cake. It looks like a fucking barnacle underneath the fucking gas tank.
The worst carbs I've ever had to clean were the ones on that Moto Guzzi I bought. They sat for 37 years.
37 years, yeah.
and they had it.
Yep.
It almost looked like calcium deposit. The whole thing,
scale.
But it was so thick you couldn't get it off with any chemical I tried. I had to use a pick.
Yeah, it's oxidation, man.
I sat in front of the TV with just the car with a pick. And I just picked.
I'm just so tired of hearing people tell me how long a job should take when they've never done the job.
Right.
And or how long or what's involved with the job and they've never done the job.
Right.
And that's the hardest thing. And I think it's especially cool when it's like on a bike that you let sit. You've owned this bike since 13 or 14 or 15. So you're responsible for this fucking disaster. And now you're telling me I shouldn't get paid for working on it. You're right. I shouldn't get paid for working on it.
It's like painting stuff. People are like, well, I know the manufacturer says that there's 15 minutes between coats, flash coats, but you're a professional, so you can do that in 3, right? No. It's fucking 15 minutes between fucking coats,
I'm not a
dude.
professional.
Yeah.
And I can't change science.
Right.
Turns out chemistry, bit of a science.
Right, but it's the same thing with motor. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like the guides that you go by, and I'm sure you guys even modified them from all the years you've been doing it. But like those are people that have like, I've done 17,000 carbs. It takes roughly this much time.
Well,
that's why it's there.
Okay, we'll give you a pop quiz for all the people in here who've ever worked on a motorcycle before. Replacing the front tire. Okay, replacing the front tire.
But there's so many variables right there.
On a Piaggio Liberty.
That's
that scooter behind you. See the gray scooter behind you?
Okay.
Right? Okay. It's a tubeless tire.
Mm-hmm.
It's sitting on a alloy rim. Mm-hmm. It's got a brake and a brake caliper. Mm-hmm. It's got 2 forks.
Right.
Okay. What does Piaggio pay to change the front tire on that?
I mean, it has to be at least 2 or 3 hours.
Half hour.
Dan?
I was going to say hour and a half.
Steve?
I was going to say what John said, but I don't want to copy.
Half hour.
15 minutes.
Yeah.
What?
15 fucking minutes.
But wait, here's the thing. Are they defining? Because, like, I've had a tire that, like, if it's a newer tire and you're just changing it, it pops off. Though.
Now, wait a second. Now, Steve, you do have to get that wheel off that motorcycle.
No, I get that. Yeah, that takes 15 minutes, right?
Yeah.
But my point is that if you have a newer tire and it comes off, when I got the BV500 originally, that tire had been on there for a long time. Right. I had to hacksaw it off
I understand.
the thing.
Right.
And then, without fucking the rim up, like every 1 inch took 5 minutes to break the bead because it was welded to the fucking rim on the whole thing.
Yeah.
So like they don't clarify whether or not that tire is dead or not or whatever.
15 minutes.
That's insane.
15 minutes. So the next time your shop tells you that the book says it takes 2 hours to do something and you want to argue with them,
fuck you.
Fuck you.
Yeah. Take your hat.
Yeah.
Also, then there's this. Maybe I can get it done in less than 4 hours on 4 carbs.
Right.
That's my fucking money.
It's my fucking money.
That's my time.
That's my skill.
It's 4
your
hours.
skill.
You're paying for 4 hours.
It's your skill. That's what you said. Yeah. It's your skill.
If I can get it done faster.
And you know what? You're paying me for 4 hours because the last one took 7 hours.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're making up for the other one that took longer.
But for people who are going to contact a dealership, and the dealership's going to tell you, well, and by the way, the all data information is available. So you consumers, you guys who want to be hard-headed pricks about this shit, if you want to be like, oh, fuck you, I know what the thing's worth. I know how long it takes to do a job. Oh, do you really? Because you can spend a membership. You can spend some money and pretend like you're a dealer. Put on your dealer pants and spend money and get a membership to All Data. And then you can actually know how long that Piaggio or Ducati or Honda or Suzuki says that it takes to do any job on any motorcycle. And then you can call your local shop and you can be the solid gold prick that you are, because according to All Data, it says that it takes 3 hours to rebuild this transmission. I'm not going to pay you a nickel more. And then they're going to tell you, fuck your head. Yep. Exactly. Because that's when that phrase is designed for. But
excuse me, sir, do you have a chapeau?
Right. But the point being,
but I think your new phrase is better.
Which is
eat a bag of dicks.
Eat a bag of dicks. Chocolate covered dicks. I don't think
I like a bag of smashed dicks.
Bag of smashed dicks. Well, I said that it looks like a bag of smashed assholes.
Dude, there's a company. There's a company. My buddy that still does FPV. Yeah. He's like a YouTuber and stuff. Yeah. And he bought something from this company. And the company got a cheap die cut, so they fill all their boxes.
The foam packing peanuts?
No.
Yeah.
They fill them with cardboard cutout of dicks.
Oh, really?
So when you open the box, it just fucking back, and there's just cardboard dicks
That's
all
awesome.
over everywhere.
One of our scooter shops we used to work with, they had styrofoam, polystyrene. They had EPS foam that was literally scooters. No, they were like Vespa and Lambretta outlines. Fucking bad as shit. That's cool. But what I will tell you is when people figure that a job takes so long, you don't know until you've done it.
Right.
And what I can tell you is if we had a race right now, and I haven't done a whole lot of tires this year because I have people I pay to do that, but I'm still pretty speedy. And if we took my guy who does do 15 or 20 tires a day, and we said, okay, Phil and Sparky, this is it. This is for the roses. I want you to dismount, remount, and balance that tire. 15 minutes. I don't know that I could do it. I just don't know that I could do it.
Probably
I
neither
don't
one of
know.
you can do it.
I don't know where they're coming up with their number for 15 minutes.
That's
but
insane.
This has been that way for a long time.
Well, it also have to be a perfect circumstance. Like everything would be perfect.
John, how many hours were they paying for those Royal Enfield motors? Were they paying 6 hours?
It was not a lot. It was, I think it was like $500 or something.
Yeah, it was
like
about
that.
6 hours. Yeah.
So whatever, $500.
Yeah, it was 6 hours.
Yeah.
So they were paying us, because they weren't paying our full warranty rate. They were paying some sort of a discounted warranty rate for us. And I think it was 6 hours to do those motors. And think about what you had to do. You had to completely pull a motor out of a motorcycle. You had to split the cases. You had to go
Take
down.
the whole top end off.
Whole top end's off. And you had to go into the crank, and you literally had to replace.
Change 3 gears.
3 gears.
Second, third, and fourth gear.
Yeah.
So pull the whole cassette out
Yep.
for the shift mechanism, tear the whole thing off.
And that's a 100% engine build, top to bottom, any way you slice
I
it.
could have changed any part you wanted me to when I was that far in.
And it involved a full gasket kit. It involved full seal kit.
Yep.
And I thought they paid 6 hours.
It worked out to be about we figured we were still making money on it because
You got good at them.
Well, I was good at it, and what you were paying me, if I could do it in one day,
Right, yeah.
and we got $500.
Right.
I mean, that was
it worked out. But I believe Miss Emma was saying that on those Honda CBR 300s that all had bad cranks. I think she said she was getting it down to some crazy, like she was knocking them out.
It's all about getting the motor out and you know what I mean, dealing with the exhaust and then by the last one I had all kinds of little I didn't pull the crank all the way out or anything like I took this. I said I'd get the top end off. I'd get sitting there on the bench. None of the right hand side of the motor came apart at all. This side came off because that's what I need to get this out.
Only need to take
all the
apart
shafts stayed in there. I pulled one. I pulled the shafts out that I needed. I slid those up, put those on, put them back in, put it all back together.
There's something to be said for doing a dozen of something. There's something to be said.
After 5, you're getting pretty good.
You're getting pretty good at it. That's exactly right. After 5, they're sounding pretty easy. But that really.
But I just can't believe that they're all still running.
I know. Right?
I'm like, thank God, knock on wood. None of them. I didn't miss.
None of them came back. Not a single one of them ever came back.
I think one came back because I didn't get enough RTV on the little starter cover, and I had to redo.
Weeping?
It had a little weep. I had to redo that.
Yeah, it is. We keep in mind our shop's been open for 21 years, and so for 21 years we've seen a lot of shit. And I've seen bikes come back through here that I was like, oh man, I really prayed I would never see that bike ever again. I really thought that that bike was going to get raptured up and I was never going to have to see that motherfucker ever again. And then that thing gets trotted in on its 19th owner. Mm-hmm. And you're like, oh my God, what the fuck? I thought that thing was taped together. I thought that thing was going to explode when it got to the end of the driveway.
The interesting thing about doing those is they had the hydraulic lifters in them.
Yeah.
So the first time you rotated it over, I was rotating it over. Yep. I'm like, the valve. Nothing's moving.
Nothing's moving.
No. And after a while, then they would move because you pump some oil through the lifters. You had to get oil in
But the first time you'd rotate it, you'd be like, oh shit, I didn't hook something up because the valves weren't moving.
What the fuck is going on here?
Yeah. Oh, it's really scary. Yeah, that's really fucking weird.
So this deep in the podcast, I think I can share some news.
Yeah.
Because nobody that I know is going to listen this long.
No, they bailed out a long time ago, yeah.
So I accepted a new job, which is nice. But more importantly, I'm going to be 5 minutes from these two idiots out in Overland.
Holy shit.
So there's
there goes the neighborhood.
Yep.
Again.
Well, there's J-Town and there's S-ville, but I'm thinking if I need to, during weather and stuff, there might have to be Steveville or Steve something over in the other corner.
Nice.
But so I'm thinking lunchtime dirt bike rallies.
Oh, wow. He'll be further
after
down the
work.
hill than J-Town.
And shit runs downhill.
It does run downhill.
But
we should put you right over by where the shit comes into the root.
Yeah,
There'll be a little tent there for you.
I'll be in the slums. It's fine.
Actually, the water going out of the plant is cleaner than the stream it's going into.
That's true. It probably doesn't have all the rags that you were talking about.
All that's been sifted out. Yeah.
Oh, man.
But we're gonna have fun. I think this is gonna be
fucking cool,
this is gonna be
man.
good.
Like, I appreciate, I respect the shit out of that. I'm so happy that you're going to be in a job that's going to treat you a little bit better, but more importantly, you're going to be close to
and no golf
the camp.
unless I'm playing it, which means that we're just going to get drunk and hit things.
So you have about a 50-minute drive now?
Yeah, 50-minute drive. It'll be fine. It'll be good.
Well, maybe eventually you guys will migrate. You think you'll ever sell your house over there or no?
Well, if the market continues,
You know what?
I'll have to live on Steve's compound for a while.
Work on that 4-day work week.
Yeah.
Get that
Do
nailed.
you think you can fit your whole life into a 40-foot shipping container?
Yes, I can. Not a problem. Well, I need another one for my motorcycles, but besides that, yeah,
Nope,
I can live there.
One is all you get.
All right, that's fine.
See, I thought of a great idea for my compound.
Yes.
Okay, so the compound's gonna be 4 shipping containers.
Right.
I'm gonna put one more on the side, cut the top off, and make it my pool.
Oh,
Yeah.
there you go. Yeah,
I've seen them. I mean, people have done that.
Making a
And then in
shipping
the winter,
container
we
into a
can
pool
skate
is
on it.
genius.
Oh, it's not even hard.
Right, that's clever.
It's pretty easy.
Yeah, I like the idea.
I'm
of that.
surprised you haven't got an animal trough hot tub yet, though. That seems like something right up your alley, where it can be like solar
We
heated.
got it on a Rural King.
The only thing I like about swimming is the deep end.
The deep end. Yeah, right.
You
No,
don't like
seriously, I like
you don't
the
like
deep
being able to touch.
No, I like swimming down to the bottom and just
Right.
sitting there.
Yeah.
But
I don't know why. That's what I like to do.
But Johnny's been saying that he wants you to get a hot tub so he can see you without your shirt on. That was his whole thing for the longest time.
Been wild. The again, Manscaped 4.0. And the weed whacker. Yeah. For those pesky, stubborn nasal appendages. Yeah,
So-
if you sneeze and it looks like a party favor, you need the weed whacker.
So I walk in today. I got here a little early because I had some title work to do with your friendly neighborhood title people here
That's right.
at ClevelandMoto.
Absolutely.
And you and Renee looked like a bus had run you guys over, dragged you behind them.
We've had a tough month. Yeah, we've had a
I
tough
didn't want
month.
to say anything to Renee, but I was like, you look like you had a long day.
Well,
So what's
she's
going
also-
on?
I kinda did, but
in
I didn't-
defense, she spent the past hour and a half in the gym lifting weights.
Yeah.
So people forget that we have a weightlifting gym in the building here.
But seriously, like you guys, it looks like you guys have been running hard, never put it away,
Yeah.
started running hard again.
Yeah.
What's going on in the motorcycle industry right now in June in Ohio?
I get into the shop at about 8:30, 9 o'clock, and I leave at about 9 o'clock every single goddamn day. Mm-hmm. And you make hay while the sun shines. That's what it is. But
I was looking around and you have 1 million bikes in here,
Yeah.
but every single one says
they're all sold. Yeah, they're all sold. And it's funny because we're at 1.3 weeks ago, we were 43 bikes in the weeds. So we had sold 43 bikes that weren't here, right? And that was our worst. That was our high water mark of the worst inequity between, bikes that we sold versus bikes that we had. It was fucked up. And it was fucked up and people were getting crabby. They didn't want to wait. And and for the record, if you're waiting 6 or 7 weeks, that's shitty. I feel bad for you. That's awful.
But it's
that's
not
terrible.
your fault at this point.
But at this point, trust me, if there was anything I could do about it, because I've already rat fucked my rep and anybody else who's in their chain of command, because we ordered bikes and paid for bikes in some cases in January and February. Mm-hmm. And if I don't have my bikes now for bikes that I ordered in January and February, I'm not the asshole. No, I paid my bills and I always pay my bills and you never have to chase me down for money. But you promised me a program with a certain number of bikes. And if you can't deliver on that,
isn't it awesome to be able to come back? Normally they're trying to cram them down your throat.
They still are, John. John, we owe you 20 bikes that we can't deliver on.
Yeah.
But you have to take these 4 bikes you don't want because we can't get rid of them.
Shit.
That's fucked up, isn't it?
Oh,
that is fucked up.
So you want to own a motorcycle shop, do you?
Here, I'm going to give you a great experience. This is a cool experience.
Is it making a noise?
What's that?
The camera?
I don't know.
No, it's for some reason.
I hear like a bloop bloop.
Yeah, that's coming through the mics or the mic stands or something. Yeah, little
Sorry.
tip. So here's the weird thing. Imagine if you would that you ordered 6 pizzas from Domino's. 6 pizzas. You're having a party. And the guy shows up about 14 days late. And he doesn't bring you your 6 pizzas. He brings you 2 pizzas. But then he brings you 14 orders of wings that you didn't order. And then tells you, by the way, we've already charged your card for it. Here it is. That's exactly what I'm dealing with in my shop right now. So if you want to know, except for the fact that those pizzas are $7,000 each. And I'm on the tune of like, and customers occasionally will say, fuck you, I don't want that bike anymore, and walk away from the deal. Well, that means I just lost $8,000. So every time somebody says they're unhappy because they didn't get the thing that they thought they should have got in June they ordered in February.
They must think you're like a Jedi. You can just be like, this is the bike you want.
Yeah. I do a good amount of that.
I'm sure
I do a real good amount of, I know you said you really, really needed blue, but blue's going to be 4 more weeks. Black's here today. How about black?
We don't ride the bike we want. We ride the bike we have.
We have. That's exactly right. And you know, it is funny. I mean, I do get that. People want the color they want, and that's all cool, and I have no problem with that. But it is like, we have had a certain number of people like, but God damn it, you told me that bike was going to be 8 weeks or 4 weeks or whatever. I was like, I told you that I don't know, because you'll find that it's very hard to catch me in a lie that I don't make.
Right. Look at me. Right. I am a dealership.
Right.
Why would I want to get you that bike?
Exactly.
And get you it sold and get it gone as quickly as possible.
Remember, if you're podcast listeners, you remember when we talked about that clearinghouse thing for truckers and CDL licenses? That is such a fucking problem that we have not a little bit of freight. We have $500,000 worth of freight that's sitting at a dock that we can't get because there aren't enough truckers to bring it. Because 9 truckers are left in the entire system who didn't lose their jobs because they had some strange thing on their report card that their owners just found out about or their employers just found out about. Right. And getting that thing off their report card is going to cost them $30,000 of retraining or what have you. Our economy is so fucked up. We are saying that the solution for this is to make 18-year-olds be able to get a CDL.
Makes sense.
Do you know how many years of driving experience 18-year-olds have?
2 at best.
Less than 2.
Yeah, 2 at best.
And now you're going to put that person behind the wheel of a 90,000-pound rig? Not in my fucking town.
But Phil, they have video game reflexes.
They do have video game reflexes.
But they have the attention span of a squirrel.
Right. And they do not understand consequences.
No.
Right? There used to be trucks when I was a kid. Like,
where's the reset button on this fucking Mack truck?
Right. When I was a kid, I used to look at like Red Sovine and like all these fucking truck driving music and shit. And it's
Teddy
like,
Bear.
Yeah, 1 life to save 40, that kind of thing. Like the truck driver that threw himself over drove his rig over the edge of the fucking guardrail to save a mom and her kids in the minivan thing. And people are crying in the fucking radio and shit. Country music used to be good.
Yeah.
But anyway.
I lost my daddy.
No.
Back in the thing, and all I wanted was to take a ride in the big rig. Well, I'm coming to your 1020 there, little teddy bear. And before you know it, there was a line of trucks a mile long.
8 days on the road, and I'm going to make it home tonight. Like, those songs were magical. But I digress. An 18-year-old...
Phantom 409.
Yes. The 18-year-old does not understand how to not kill people with a truck.
It was a night just like tonight.
There is... Look, if we're going to bust out the C.W. McCall, if we're going to bust out the literally rubber duck, that horrible crap.
We got a great...
let me get my guitar out.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm
sure we can
do that. Eastbound and down.
I think me and you at Bruce's had a couple of melodies. What is that word?
Harmonies?
No,
medleys.
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 Yeah, medleys. That was good.
Well, I think, and you're talking self-driving vehicles. So where's the biggest push going to be in self-driving vehicles?
Trucks.
Probably trucks.
Yep.
Is this what they're trying to do? Are they trying to push these guys out of a job?
Well, if you're UPS, wouldn't you like guaranteed freight? The truck leaves here. We know exactly where it's at.
Well, and we know change.
It doesn't stop. It can change.
I was going to say they don't have to have 8-hour shifts anymore. You don't have to sleep after 8 hours.
It's going to be nonstop.
Yeah, right.
It's going to have to stop to charge its batteries.
That's it.
The problem was they fired all the truck drivers before they had the self-driving trucks. You're supposed to do it the other way.
Right.
You're supposed to have the self-driving trucks and then fire all the truck drivers for things that they did.
Dang it.
I mean, the idea is you go like, okay, we got all these great new self-driving trucks.
Right.
Cool. We got too many many truck drivers. Well, what are you going to do? You're all fired from some shit you did in the 80s. Oh, looks like that. I love it when a plan comes together. But that's what happened.
But he was a good guy.
But all these guys that lost their jobs driving trucks aren't doing so. Like with everything in the government, there's a scam, right? There's a system. Somebody's getting paid. And the idea was that you make the guy who owns the company, Steve's trucking company, he has to pay to get access to the clearinghouse. Mm-hmm. Costs him a lot of money to find out which truck drivers are hireable and fireable, right? Mm-hmm. But then John, who is a driver, John has to pay to get his records to go to try to get a job at Steve's.
Right. So somebody's making money on
now,
all this.
Hold on. Steve Hoffert got released from his job at your place because the government let you know that he had a domestic violence arrest, and he got a felony for a domestic violence arrest.
He was touching children.
He had 7 years ago, right? So even though his arrest has nothing to do with driving a truck, it still is enough to make it. So now he's lost his CDL, but he can get his CDL back if he takes an extremely expensive course.
Right, because somebody needs to make money.
And that money from his extremely expensive course goes back to the government too. And so then he'll be allowed to rehire and, to apply for a job again with you. But meanwhile, you don't have any drivers.
No.
And that's the problem. That's where we are right now. And that's why all your shit is taking so long to get there. And right now, every truck driver that's got a CDL is moving what? Livestock.
Right. Well,
because livestock becomes dead stock if you don't move it.
Well, that's what I was going to say is like shit's going to change.
Potatoes for Pringles.
Well, shit's going to change soon because IKEA is backed up and they can't get their shit to people. So every Karen in the suburbs that ordered their fucking Icklog fucking thing is not getting it. So they're going to complain enough that everything's changing as soon as that happens.
Well, and this is in our industry. We have a guy calling, and I love this dude. He calls me every day asking if the turn signals have shown up for his Piaggio MP3.
No. One, he has an MP3, so sorry.
No, they haven't shown up.
Yeah.
Every day. And every day he gets more angry. And it's been like, he's on like day 48. And so he's on like day 48. And he's like, you have got to be able to tell me where those are. No, actually, I don't. Because I really don't know. Because I know where the U.S. logistics hub for them is. But I don't know how they're planning on moving them from there.
It doesn't send you a tracking number.
No, of course not. No. Get that out of your fucking head. First thing first, that never happens. Even on a $9,000 bike, I don't get a tracking number. So the other thing that's crazy, though, is...
You get a call from a trucker saying, I'm going to show up.
We get a guy calling... We get dudes here that call here at 5 p.m. asking us if we'll be here so they can unload a truck at 5 p.m.
It's hilarious to me, though. Okay, so you don't get a tracking number on a $9,000 bike.
Exactly.
But you get a tracking number on a 12-cent, pickle eraser.
It's fucking hilarious that I can order something on Amazon that cost $1 and have it show up the next day with full 100% culpability, responsibility, and one-upsmanship from them saying, oh, well, we noticed that your $1 item has arrived. Because it was signed for James, and he's listening to the left today. This whole thing. And it's like, it's insane. That exists in the world, and that sets the standard. The problem is the $9,000 motorcycle that we're trying to order is legit is it in America yet?
It won't fit into an envelope.
Right, yeah. Well, here's the thing. I know that I paid for it. My customer's on the hook for $500, but I paid for the whole goddamn bike. And where is it? I don't know. When am I going to get it? I don't know. I have no idea.
It's coming.
We think it's coming. And that's hilarious. And then the weird thing is we get an 18-wheeler show up and 12 bikes show up. Mm-hmm. And I unload 12 bikes and I take them out of the crates. And I'm like, okay, I definitely ordered those 9. Those are 9 that I ordered. Cool. There's 2 that are just completely missing. And those are the ones, of course, I needed the most.
Right.
I don't know where those went. Those are just gone. But in the place of those 2, there are now 3 that I would have never ordered in a million years.
But you found out you did.
But I found out they're here. Mm-hmm. And so when I call them up and I'm like, before the 18-wheeler guy leaves, I need to know, why did you send me these 3 mystery bikes that I have no idea why you shipped them to me? Well, I don't know either. It's a mystery. but you better take them because there's shortages all across America and nobody's getting shit. So it's better to have 3 of the thing you don't want than none of anything.
Wow.
And if you return those 3, we're going to count them against your wholesale order, and you're going to have to order 3 more by the end of the month. And by the end of the month, there might really be some dog shit left over. So you better take these 3 that are slightly less dog shit than getting the 3 remnants at the end of the month. Because if you don't take the number that you said you were going to take every month, even though we can't give you any of the bikes you want, yeah, that's what we're up against as dealers. So
sorry, your fillet did not come out.
Yes,
right. We're giving you chlamydia and syphilis.
So we had some I'm dying. We had a couple questions come in.
Yeah.
And I had a couple PMs and stuff about this, and it was about Mid-Ohio.
Yep.
And because it's coming up, and, we're all excited, and we're doing our things, and we're all getting our camping spots and everything.
Yep.
And so I had one guy ask, hey, should I ride my KLR?
Right.
Or should I bring my truck down? And I said, well, put your KLR in the back of the truck.
Smart move.
And come down because you're going to putt around. But so the people that are out there wondering, should they drive their motorcycle to Mid-Ohio?
Only if you have no cash money.
You're not wanting to buy anything.
And you have got resolve. I mean, fucking resolve.
Well, like I said, I told this guy, I'm like, if you are fully prepared for 4 different kinds of weather,
right,
on your motorcycle, then and you don't want to buy anything, and your motorcycle is capable of putting around,
right,
because you can't just park it and walk because you'll miss everything.
That's right.
So if your motorcycle fits into all those categories,
I totally agree.
Then ride. But if not, drag it along and then ride it around when you get there.
That's right.
But is there any other?
Because the KLR is just right, except I don't think you could bring home another bike on the back of a KLR.
Well, he said that that's not an option. Yeah. So I said at that point, then drag it with you and ride it around.
Yeah, if you came on the KLR, when you got there, you unloaded it down to nothing.
Right.
And you had a tent, you had sleeping and everything like that.
But you'd want to. But also, you need rain boots. You need gear. Like if you want to have a fun time.
Have you seen what these ADV riders have on their bikes? And if your KLR has panniers and a top box, and you want to load that full of all kinds of shit that you need,
you fucking bring one pair of mud
for 3
boots.
days in the bush, and then when you get there, unbolt everything, and then just ride it around as a KLR. You probably could do that.
You could, but if you wanted to have
what I would do,
if you wanted to have
take a pickup truck, with my KLR in the back.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. If you want to have food supplies and beer supplies and ice supplies,
the only reason in his situation I would say not to bring the pickup truck is if he didn't have the pickup truck.
Right.
But in the case he's already revealed to us that he has a pickup truck.
Right.
So obviously the smart thing to do would be bring the KLR in the back of the pickup truck, because then worst case scenario, the KLR breaks and he can take the KLR home in the pickup truck.
I don't like sleeping in a tent down there.
Yeah.
And the main reason is people do get drunk and people taking rides on bikes. Yeah. And you just, unless you set your setup, if you get your tent hidden
in a compound
nice,
or something,
But there's nothing that says somebody couldn't accidentally back over you while you're sleeping, or run you over, or just
back a trailer over your head. Dude backed a trailer over me. So I was on a CB750, where I was on, sorry, it doesn't matter, but I was on a Yamaha XS650 at the time. And this was the end of the thing, it's Sunday. And I'm just kind of riding along super slow, looking for shit to buy. Last minute, right? I'm buying some shit. And this dude backs up a 40-foot trailer, without looking and without a ground guide. Just figuring he's going to back it up by ear. And he backs literally over me and the bike. So like my leg and everything, and my leg hurt for a minute.
I'm sure.
Like he backed over me, and people around are yelling, "Oh, dude, motherfucker!" And they stopped. And I couldn't get out from under the fucking trailer.
But
they had to pull the trailer forward.
How was the bike?
I, at that moment, decided that 2 things were going to happen. One, I was going to exchange insurance information with him, which means I was getting his insurance information. Because he backed over me.
Right.
And it hurt. 2, I was also going to extract $500 from him.
Yeah, you probably have unobtainium somewhere on that bike that's
it doesn't
now
matter.
Broken.
So my deal was...
instantaneous retribution.
You're going to give me your insurance information in case this goes over $500, but you're going to give me $500 right now, because that's the oops, I fucked up price.
And he has it because he has a 40-fucking-foot trailer.
Exactly. Right. The point being, I wasn't going to let him go until he gave me $500, because then at least worst case scenario, I know I got $500, because I've been skipped by people who have nothing, and I've been hit legit, insurance involved, by people who have nothing, where the insurance company says the vehicle they wrecked killing you was the most valuable thing in their world.
Right. No, that's true.
And that's gone now. So if you can get $500 up front when you get hit, that's always good.
I'd rather sleep in the back of an open pickup truck with a sleeping bag
right on
than a tent on the ground. I mean, at least you're up off the ground.
Totally.
Even if it rains, throw a fucking PVC tarp over you. You're better off.
I friended a few people on Facebook because they opened with vintage days.
Right. Yeah.
So, and then the next question is, what is the minimal shit you need to bring to Mid-Ohio?
Cash.
Sunscreen, cash. Anything else can be had, and anything else can be washed off. So, if in case you're wondering, here's my tip. This is a pro fucking gamer tip for Mid-Ohio. Don't try to stay pretty if it means not having fun.
Right. Well, no.
You can get fucked up. Get yourself good and fucking muddy. If you want to slide on your belly down a fucking slip and slide and eat shit, grass and everything else. So what nobody knows is by the good bathrooms, there's a garage behind them. And the garage takes care of like a whole fleet of race cars. Like they have a whole fleet of Honda race cars there because they do driver's training there.
Right.
And they've got no less than 6 water hoses back there that have enough pressure to wash shit off a shit buggy.
And occasionally there's girls in bikinis holding the hoses that will hose your shit down when you go by.
Yep. And
it just happens.
And I can tell you, I can absolutely tell you that knowing where those garden hoses are with all that pressure has been a godsend for us because we don't have to take bikes home filthy.
Nope.
And we've done it for the year that we did the Zero test rides. We had those like a dozen or 16 Zero bikes out there. And the first couple of days it rained like sideways. The bikes got shit covered with mud. And then we went out and had fun with them and they got covered with more mud somehow. I don't know how that happened.
That's crazy.
But then we went and we found that fucking water faucets. And man, it was great because those water faucets cleaned all those bikes off. So that was cool. So you can get cleaned up in Mid-Ohio. You don't need to go in a shower or something else. Garden hose, first day of county.
But the showers are free too. I mean, if you want to wait in line, they're there for you.
But the idea is there is stuff there. You don't have to fucking die. You don't have to go home a mud person.
Nope.
You can get washed off.
And if you're a person,
there's a creek.
There is a creek.
Yeah, there is. You can always go down the creek.
And that's what's funny too is people don't know about that creek.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty legit creek.
Yeah.
Even in July, like when the water's low, so I damn near lost a motorcycle going across that creek. No, it's not like people are like, oh, it's a creek. It's like a trickle of water. No. It's 3 feet.
Yeah.
Like the legit middle of that creek is 3 or 4 feet.
Get a little bucket, go down there, splash your bike off, whatever.
Yeah, what people don't realize is that like what you see of Mid-Ohio is there, but in the woods, there's a whole lot more Mid-Ohio
there's
too.
Ticks and horseflies and all kinds of good shit.
But also at the back,
miles of trails. And
and if you go way to the back, so at the very back of the track, way away from all the stuff, there's a giant hill you can go down. There's all kinds of shit back there.
I took that one year. I took you guys for a little.
You introduced me to that whole area, man. Yeah.
There's places all over.
There's nothing better.
There's places where if you don't have knobby tires, you might not come back out of it.
No, but there's also places where I've gone on a Honda Dream on street tires from the 60s and just been like, well, I might be able to make it up there. And it turns out at Mid-Ohio, anything's possible.
Yeah, right.
Because you have enough liquor. You have enough liquor in you. You got a bike you bought an hour and a half ago, and you're like, I can do it. And then you find out how amazing old motorcycles are. Yeah. It really is true.
My brother Mark and I used to play a fun game, just ride the fence line around the track.
The whole way.
So you just start riding around, what I mean? Just there's some places we got yelled at and stuff like that. Yeah. Whatever.
But it is.
We had the 1 year, me, you, and I think a few other people, we rode the fence line and we got to see it was like a 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. race with the vintage guys. Remember we stopped and all those guys were going, it was really nice.
It's fucking great.
Take the time to watch the races. That's I never have enough time. I'm always sitting there. I always start partying. Then I start getting like, but there's always, every year I'm like, I should have went and watched more.
And maybe that would be something we should do this year because this year.
I really have to wonder where we're going to end up camping this year.
Right. That's a good point. Yep.
Because the boys from Cincy have tried to take up that whole thing.
The corner.
Bruce has been working with them a little bit.
Yeah.
He's infiltrated.
Yeah.
So he's got a name drop if somebody tells him he can't park there. So.
Oh.
But then Dan's bringing the thing. So now we're trying to get three spaces.
I'm bringing a camera. I want to get us talking about all the different areas of Mid-Ohio.
Yeah,
so that will not only will that be good for what we're doing with the channel,
right,
but it'll make us actually go to all the different shit.
Honestly, look, I think that there's nothing better that we can do is to hijack his high ace.
Oh, yeah.
You know, hijack his high ace and set the camera up and make cocktails.
Oh,
and legit.
Because I'm falling asleep.
He's falling asleep in his chair. I think that the idea of making cocktails and doing what we did last year, which was take the run.
Yeah.
Because look, if Mid Ohio does what Mid Ohio is going to do, at some point it's going to rain.
I'm thinking maybe take that high ground.
Yep.
Remember the year we stayed with you had the bus and we stayed all the way up.
That was awesome. I think that was great because it gives us the opportunity to go and do what we want to do, but then come back from it. And then especially if you want to record anything. Because there's no way we're recording down in the thing.
In the campsite.
Yeah, it's not happening.
By Moto.
No.
Yeah. Well, so we'll see what happens. Honestly, there's pluses
Bruce
and
will
minuses
probably be
for all
dug in
of it.
like a tick. I don't think, unless he gets down there and it's, but I don't want to, like, the last year we went, we got pushed down this way too far. And we were in too low.
Yeah.
We always got we camped there because we would grab the high side.
Yep, exactly.
The high spots are $9.99.
Yep, that's right.
But then those guys, they pushed us down too far. And I'm like, I don't want to do that again.
Right.
Yeah.
There was literally a frog living in
No, I get it, dude. Yeah, I get it. There's a high spot along that back fence.
Yeah.
And you got to get the high spot. If you don't get the high spot along the fence, you're fucked. Yeah.
Fuck out of it.
I agree. Yeah, I totally agree. Especially if there's any hint of rain in the weather forecast whatsoever.
Well, there's going to be.
So that's kind of the way it goes.
So did Dan mention to you guys that he's got a thing going with a trailer and everything with his buddy?
Yeah, my buddy's bringing his 22-foot travel trailer, and I've got a line up. I got to go pick it up yet. That generator.
Sure.
It'll run 2 campers easy, but I have to fix the exhaust.
We can
there you go.
Exhaust leak.
Okay. Well, fair enough.
We'll
Nothing
see how
black
it
pipe
depends on
can't
what
fix.
the weather is. If it's fucking hotter than balls, we'll fire it up and it'll at least give a place to cool off here and there.
Now, our friends from the West Coast,
Yes.
they're
Misfits
coming down
are
strong.
coming. They're coming.
So we have to accommodate for all of them.
Yeah, the
too.
good news is I got actual tents. Like I have legit tents. That hold
That's another
6
good
people.
reason just to go up on top of that hill.
Yep.
Well, and
Form a ring
right.
or something.
Yeah, it's all about mobility. So the game is, for us, the game is getting there early. The game is locking a spot in.
Yep.
Right, locking a spot in. And if you can lock a spot in
you got
where
to circle the wagons.
if you can lock a spot in where you want to lock the spot in, more power to you.
Yep.
You've just won.
Yep.
That's the way to do it. And I have kind of thought about that a little bit. And so I think we have.
We're looking at noon on Thursday. Bruce is going to be there.
Noon. I'm going to be there fucking Wednesday night at 5 a.m. Fucking
won't
whatever,
let you
ready
in.
to go.
Yeah.
Won't let
No,
you in.
I'm going to be at the gate. I'm at the gate.
Yeah. And that's
6 a.m. I'm fucking getting in that bitch on
You can
Thursday.
try to
dude.
get in the campground at noon.
Right. Yeah.
If you're going to stay in the campground.
Exactly. Yep.
Dude,
Up.
I'm telling you,
Convinced.
you get there at 6 a.m. and you grease the right palm and you're getting fucking somewhere.
How are the
right.
Cincinnati guys getting in before that?
This is the thing.
They're not. It's just you get a lot of people lined up at the 12 o'clock start when they blow the whistle and say the gate's open for the campsite. And this happens every year. So every year what they usually do is they usually say they're going to open that at around noon. And so they open that at around noon, and then there's already a fucking line. So people start getting their admission and getting their tickets checked and shit like that at the main entrance to the camp to the Mid Ohio, to Mid Ohio Sports Car Course. So when they do that, then they filter through that gate, and the only place they can go, and it's pretty obvious because everybody there's got a fucking camper behind their car. Now they're in another line, and basically this turns into Burning Man. Okay.
This is You remember how Liza got a few spaces?
Yep.
And they taped it off.
Yep.
They've been somehow went through that route.
Oh yeah,
and they've been able to get the whole fucking thing taped off. And
Yeah,
it's like,
we did it
fuck.
Wednesday night, and we got in there Wednesday at 4 p.m. or 5 p.m.
That's what I'm talking
2
about.
years ago.
Yeah.
Because we had staff from American Motorcycle Association helping us bird dog where we're going to put that giant camper.
Let's talk about making something up to do that.
Well, again, there's things, right? And so the real thing is
They owe us from talking about this shit for fucking
I mean, Jesus
3
Christ.
years every fucking
For God's sakes.
Yeah.
For God's sakes.
Come on.
Well, the point being that if we can do that and we can get anybody to help us out and give us a little bit of access so we can go in there and say, okay, well, this is where Leuven Motor Corner ends.
Yeah.
And this might be where Cleveland Moto
It's not
corner
Leuven.
starts.
It's the Cincy guys also
Yeah.
got it. Like
They got a corner
they
too.
take the corner.
Yep.
But then the Cincy guys have
They
been
take
taking-
left of the corner.
They took our spot.
I know.
No.
I know.
See?
Yeah, I know.
See?
I wouldn't even mind controlling like either side of the road.
Right.
1 or 2 spots here, 1 or 2 spots on the other side. We could throw things at each other.
This is my opportunity to introduce cuts to this whole situation. We all need cuts.
No, I disagree. I totally, and I own one, and I still disagree. Yeah, exactly. As a person who owns not 1 but 2 cuts, I think that shit is gayer than Elton John's tennis helmet.
It is, but
I mean that's.
I've watched too many motorcycle shows, and I want a fucking cut, man.
No, don't do it. Don't fucking do it. Every year at Mid-Ohio, there's always there's a bunch of 15 to 19-year-old emaciated kids wearing their cut denim jackets with a couple of patches here and there. And you're like, oh, that's adorable. I wish I had that body. And then there's always the other guy who's 62 years old, original French fried biker, who's just and it's also just his that he had when he was 16 years old as well.
It doesn't close anymore.
Oh, it's a fucking mess. He's got all the gap chains, the chains to help close the gap. It's not cool, man. It's not a good look on anybody. And you know what? That shit might play at Mid-Ohio, but sooner or later you have to leave the island.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not cool. So yeah, we'll figure something out, so don't sweat it. How many hours are we now?
2 hours and 3 minutes.
I think we should shut this motherfucker down. Anybody got anything else?
No.
Not a goddamn thing.
Not a goddamn thing.
Well,
all right.
This was the first one without Nick for a long time. So,
Yeah.
Nick,
Here's to
Happy
Nick.
travels to Nick, man. Yay.
I'll miss you, Nick.
Yeah, we'll miss you. But you know what? The good news is there's always more events.
that's it.
Yep. And he's not afraid to fly or drive.
Nope.
So yay. With that, fucking ride fast and take chances, people. Bum, bum, ba-da, ba, ba, bum, 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 ba-da, bum, ba-da, bum, ba-da. Press the